And hello, everybody. Welcome to our live stream watch along here with Rocket Sports on YouTube. My name is Michael Spinella. I host the Canadiens Connection podcast. You can find that on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And I'm here with my good friend Nathan, also a member of Rocket Sports, helps us with promo online. We've done these a few times as the season has come along, and we're very excited for you all to join us here tonight as the Montreal Canadiens take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Nathan, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. Thanks for asking, Michael. Looking forward to this game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Always a great matchup to watch.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this as well. And for those who have not done this before, wondering what to expect, we have all sorts of fun things that we do here. You'll get some live commentary from me. We have some topics prepared, lots of Habs and Pittsburgh Penguins discussions to get into tonight. And we also have a live chat going. So make sure that you drop a question or a comment tonight. And we have a question to you, all of our viewers who are tuning in. We want to know, who do you think is going to win this game? And we want your score predictions. So get into the chat. Let us know the final score and which team is going to win. And for those that also not super familiar with Rocket Sports, I'll just let you know that we provide all sorts of great Habs content across multiple platforms. Just head over to thn.com/Montreal. That's the Hockey News Montreal. And you can find all of our game day content, feature articles. We also cover Laval Rocket on there too. Give us a follow on Twitter at Rocket Sports. On Facebook, it's at Rocket Sports Media Inc. Instagram, Rocket Sports Media. And you can find our podcast, The Canadiens Connection, on any of your favorite streaming platforms, but also at CanadiensConnection.fm. And with that, this is going to be quite the game. The last time we covered these two teams, we got a 12-round shootout, which I don't know. I'm open to it tonight. What do you think? What's your score prediction for today?
Well, I know as every time Montreal and Pittsburgh have met this season, they've gone into overtime. Tonight, I think it's going to be a different story. I think Pittsburgh is going to come out with a 5-3 victory over the Montreal Canadiens tonight.
Yeah, it's a good prediction there. And our good colleague, Amy J, chimes in. Hey, guys, looking forward to tonight's stream. My game prediction, Penguins win 5-2. So that's a pretty good prediction there. Not a whole lot of faith there in the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, the Montreal Canadiens coming off of a loss just last night against the Buffalo Sabres, 3-2. They gave up a power play goal and a shorthanded goal and a regular straight goal in that one. The Pittsburgh Penguins also coming off of a loss. It was a 5-4 overtime loss to the New York Islanders just the other day. So both teams looking to get a W tonight. What do you think happened to Montreal last night? And do you think it's going to be difficult for them to come in off the back on the second half of a back-to-back?
Well, as we know throughout the season, Montreal has struggled over when we do have back-to-back games. I'm hoping, they come out strong, but part of me feels that, this might be another tough start for them, especially with Pittsburgh coming off a loss themselves. And they're desperately wanting to try to get themselves in the playoffs. So I think, with the mistakes that were made last night, I think really put a damper on Montreal being able to win. But I'm looking to see Pittsburgh, come out full force and Montreal be able to defend them.
Yeah, absolutely. Pittsburgh coming off of a loss in overtime to the Islanders, a high-scoring one there. And this season, I don't know, I'm a little bit perplexed by these Pittsburgh Penguins because they seem to have a lot of good pieces. For the most part, their goaltender's been good. Tristan Jarry's had a pretty decent season, at least statistically. But they're on the outside looking in, and it seems like they might be sellers as we approach the trade deadline. So how important will it be for them to get the W tonight?
It's going to be, for the core guys, for the whole Pittsburgh Penguins organization. I'm sure they would love to have a bounce back game. They do look like sellers at the trade deadline, but some of the players, or most professional players, they don't like to throw up losses. So I'm sure the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to come out here full force and be able to put the pressure on the Montreal Canadiens.
Absolutely. So tonight in goal, just a few minutes away from that puck dropping, we're getting one Caden Primo in net for the Montreal Canadiens. And oddly enough, Caden Primo got a shutout last week against the Anaheim Ducks. Didn't take on too many shots there, but he got the job done. What are your thoughts on Caden Primo heading into tonight? I think it's a bit of a surprise that we get to see him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. I think seeing Caden Primo in net tonight is a surprise, but honestly, like you said, he got that shutout last week against the Anaheim Ducks. He's looked, relatively good for the games he's played in this season, and why not? Let's give the young goaltender a chance and play a good team, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Tristan Jarry, as I talked about, having a pretty good season. He'll get the call tonight. He's been their starter, undisputed. Some even saying that he could be the guy that Team Canada gives a call to when it comes to the Olympics and any international tournament. What are your thoughts on Tristan Jarry for today?
Yeah, I mean, Tristan Jarry, he's a great number one goaltender for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he's had a relatively good season, being able to win key games for them. And hey, if he gets a call up for any international team for Team Canada, I think it would be great for this young goaltender to have that opportunity.
Absolutely. Amy Johnson chimes in off of our comments about Caden Primo. Amy says, Caden Primo in goal, and we wonder why my goal prediction is what it is. Of course, Amy predicting that 5-2 victory for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that explains a lot, not a whole lot of faith in one Caden Primo, despite the shutout last week, albeit not too many shots on net, and it was the Anaheim Ducks that struggled to score. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup tonight. Like we said, we covered these two teams go to a pretty lengthy shootout the last time they streamed on this channel. A couple scratches and lineup notes for both teams. Just this morning, Noel Achari was activated off of IR, and he'll be playing tonight. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, Nat Nieto and Jake Gensel are out with injuries. For the Habs, Dvorak Doc and Raphael Harvey-Pinard are going to be out. And a brand new face on these Montreal Canadiens, claimed from the Pittsburgh Penguins today off of waivers, Colin White. Interesting turnaround for him. He doesn't have to travel anywhere. He just stays in Pittsburgh at home, and he just walks to the opposing team's dressing room. So what exactly has happened here?
Well, I think, I think it was a move by the Montreal Canadiens to bring in another forward to kind of help out, the Laval Rocket, to be able to send a body down there to fill in their center depth. But I think, Kent Hughes saw an opportunity and he was able to execute on that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, just a little reminder to everyone who's just joining us for this stream. Puck Drop should be going down pretty soon. And I'd just like to welcome you all into our live chat. We want to let you know, you want you to let us know what your goal predictions are for tonight. Let us know the final score and which team do you think is going to win. We got one from Amy Johnson predicting a 5-2 victory for the Penguins. We got one from Nathan there, and my prediction, I'm predicting 3-2 Penguins, and I'm going to predict that this one goes to the shootout. So with that, puck has dropped, and the game is underway here. Not a whole lot in these early seconds here, but the Montreal Canadiens in the offensive zone causing a little bit of havoc here. Neither team really pulling off a ton of possession, although Matheson gets a quick shot on net there. Puck rings around back to the point. Montreal hanging on to this, not hanging onto the puck very cleanly, as this one does get sent out to their blue line, heading back into their zone. Nick Suzuki gets a clean zone entry behind the net. Nick Suzuki gets roughed up a little bit, a hit by Carlson, and now the Penguins heading the other way, getting past the blue line, and Montreal comes away with some possession once again. Rocket Sports chimes into the chat here. We want to hear from you. How many Habs fans are watching and how many Pens fans? Let us know. Of course, we're very welcoming of fans of both teams here. We primarily cover the Habs, but we'll talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins quite a bit too. And Canadiens Connection chimes into the chat here, predicting goals for both number 20s tonight. So very good prediction there.
Love
Of
it.
course, we appreciate that one, Canadiens Connection. As this game gets underway, I think it's a good time to get to tonight's mission, our keys to the game for both teams. And starting with the Pittsburgh Penguins, what would you like to see from them?
Well, I think for the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'd like to see them be able to hold a lead throughout the whole entire game. We mentioned last game they were up in the game and they blew their lead and was able to go into overtime and ended up losing that game in overtime to the Islanders. So I think with them being able to hold a lead, that would really help them out. And honestly, if they can put that pressure on Montreal's young defensive core and build sustainable pressure in the defensive zone, they can definitely beat the Montreal Canadiens tonight.
Absolutely. For me, the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think that they need to get their power play rolling. This has been the one weakness, if anything, that I think has really brought down their season to what it is. Third last in the league when it comes to the power play. And well, Montreal, spoiler alert, does not have a very good penalty kill. So tonight's a good opportunity to get that one rolling as Tristan Jarry makes a couple stops at the side of the net. But it looks like the Pittsburgh Penguins will get some clean possession here, regroup and head out of the zone. Continuing with tonight's mission, what do the Montreal Canadiens have to do to get the victory?
There's a couple things I think the Montreal Canadiens need to do, and first thing is that they need to not turn over the puck as often as they did over the last couple of games. Turnovers and costly mistakes have cost the Montreal Canadiens a couple of games, I would say, in the last week or so. But also staying disciplined, not taking bad penalties to force your team to be on the penalty kill, and being able to just, if they're able to do both those things, I think they'll be able to pull out a win tonight against Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. And for me, I kept on the theme of special teams here. I think the Habs just need to get a better penalty kill going. Second last in the league. So, of course, we know Pittsburgh struggling on the power play. Montreal struggling on the penalty kill. They let a shorthanded goal and a power play goal in last night. So they want to get that under control. And that's my keys to victory for both of those teams. So far in this game, 5 shots for Montreal, 1 shot for the Penguins. Montreal coming out with a lot of energy here. Looks like they've actually had a little pep to their step despite being on the second half of a back-to-back. What are your thoughts so far in the early parts of this game?
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael, on that. And, it looks so far that the Montreal Canadiens have come out with a little bit of more hop in their step and, being able to figure out where the holes are against the Pittsburgh Penguins and trying to capitalize on those opportunities early. They're doing really good with that so far.
Absolutely. The Pittsburgh Penguins in the offensive zone here get a shot on net. That one is smothered by Caden Primo as he jumps to the top of his crease and gets down on the ground to cover that one up. Prevent any rebounds from getting out there. And as we wait for this next face-off, I think it's a good time to get to our players to watch and player to watch out for. So who on the Pittsburgh Penguins are you watching out for tonight?
I'm going to be watching out for Erik Karlsson. Over the past 5 games, he's had 3 assists. And over the season, he's got 7 goals and 31 assists so far 31 assists this season. And when he comes out to play Montreal, he's actually played very good against Montreal. He's able to get 38 points in 48 games against Montreal. So look to Erik Karlsson to get on the board today.
Absolutely. For me, it's one Sidney Crosby, who, despite his age, is having a great season. He's over 30 goals on the year, 55 points. So certainly someone to watch out for on those Pittsburgh Penguins, as pretty much any game. And who on the Montreal Canadiens will you have your eyes on?
I'm keeping the theme of defensemen. I want to keep my eyes on Arbor Xhekaj. And over the last 2 games, he's been able to score a goal in each of the last 2 games. And last night, he really played a very good overall game. He laid the hits, didn't take any penalties, and he was able to score, like I said, it last night. So look for, I'm watching Arbor Xhekaj tonight to see what he can do and help the Montreal Canadiens win.
Yeah, absolutely. Great pick there. And for me on the Montreal Canadiens, I had to pick a new player, someone that just joined the team this morning, as we talked about, and that's Colin White. Obviously, being picked up off of waivers by the Montreal Canadiens from the Pittsburgh Penguins, simply changing dressing rooms and playing his former team immediately. He's going to be out looking for vengeance, and I certainly have my eyes on him. Despite the fact he has 0 NHL points in 11 games, and 10 points in 21 AHL games. So looking for him to pick up his first points in the NHL this season as a Montreal Canadien. Amy Johnson chimes in here quickly with, I think, a pretty great comment and something interesting to point out. Amy says it's what's frustrating is the common theme for Montreal, where they vastly outshoot opponents but still come up short in goals. And I think that's pretty accurate. They did outshoot the Buffalo Sabres last night, but unfortunately, the struggle this season has been offense. Outside of Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, and recently Juraj Slafkovsky, there's not been a whole lot of offense on this Montreal team.
Yeah, Montreal has, like you said, has struggled with the offense, and we want to see a little bit more out of the bottom six forwards for sure.
Absolutely. So Montreal leading the shot department 7-2 so far, as they seem to have a bit of a spring to their step. Had a couple of good opportunities. They'll get another one right now as they're in the zone, dancing around at the blue line, looking for an open pass, but they'll send it behind the net. Montreal does maintain possession, passing it back to the point. Shot goes through. That one misses. Now back behind the net, it's the Pittsburgh Penguins that prevail with the puck, and they'll head the other way here. So Montreal with a lot of energy here, which I think is quite surprising, as we've said a few times. They played just last night against Buffalo, so I thought they'd be a little bit sloggy, but we'll see how this game prevails.
Yeah, it's a little surprising too, because it's not like they just were going to play at the Bell Center. They actually had to travel last night from Buffalo to Pittsburgh to play the game. So I am a little surprised to see the hop in their step this early in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a little reminder to everyone watching with us tonight, we have a question for all of you. So head over to that live chat. Let us know your score predictions. We want to know who you think is going to win and what the score is. We've had a few come in already tonight, so make sure that you continue to send those to us, and we'll give you a shout out, throw it up on the screen here. But Pittsburgh Penguins with a couple shots towards the net, both miss, and Crosby right in front, unfortunately, cannot be Primo. He was left wide open. I'm shocked. Crosby with that kind of time and space. Normally that's going in, but it's Montreal heading back the other way, getting past the blue line here. An errant pass, but they will take it and dump it in, and it appears to go into Tristan Jarry's glove, so that's covered up. Looks like we'll be getting a face-off here in just a few moments, but it's also going to be the first break on our stream here. Nathan, did you know that the Penguins, despite being outside of the playoffs, actually have a plus 11 goal differential? I like this goal differential stat. It seems to really line up with what the standings are throughout the year. But they are very much an exception. Do you have any idea what's been going on with these Penguins? Is something just not clicking there?
Well, I think there's a couple different factors that it's kind of hindering on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and one outside of Sidney Crosby, it have to be, I would say, a little bit of the age of the core. Them being in their mid 30s, it kind of it does affect your game a little bit. But outside of that, I think that for Pittsburgh, I think what's been not helping them is really not getting enough scoring depth from the players in their bottom six. But what's helping drive that plus 11 would have to be, Sidney Crosby, but having so many points in 55 games. So he's looked really well, and I think that's really helped the plus 11 goal differential.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, too, I'm giving my praises to Tristan Jarry. I think last season, a lot of fans kind of turned on him a bit. It was a bit of a surprise that Kyle Dubas did hand him a contract extension in the offseason, but not a ton of great goaltenders were available at the time. And Tristan Jarry's come in this season and really stabilize things. Behind Tristan Jarry, the Penguins have a couple of other interesting goaltenders. They have the journeyman Magnus Hellberg, who kind of bounces between the NHL and AHL. Also, a goalie we saw the last time we covered these two teams, and one Alex Nedeljkovic, who I'm a pretty big fan of. He's had an interesting up and down career, kind of all over the place. What do you think about this Pittsburgh Penguins goalie depth? Do you think that outside of Jarry, there's been any struggles, or are you pretty confident in what they have?
No, honestly, I think outside of the last game with the Islanders for Nedeljkovic, I think he's come out and he's done the job he's expected to do. He's come out and played very good, played very well behind just Tristan Jarry, and definitely has helped, like you said, has helped the Pittsburgh Penguins be able to keep that puck out of the net. So yeah, I mean, I think both goaltenders are very good for Pittsburgh, and the depth that they have is good to see for an aging group.
Yeah, absolutely. And Montreal Canadiens with a couple of interesting opportunities there. Jarry goes for the poke check, misses Suzuki, but then still manages to get a piece of it, as it looks like Suzuki did not get the shot he wanted on that opportunity. Yeah, bit of a scramble play there, but still remains 0-0. Montreal already reaches that 10-shot mark as the Pittsburgh Penguins head the other way off the faceoff, looking to get set up in the zone. Shot reaches Primo, but juicy rebound goes out to the point. Point shot misses by Pittsburgh, looking to hold it in. They manage to cycle it around, but that goes to the Montreal Canadiens. They'll head the other way with speed. Past the blue line, it gets dumped back for a back pass, but they send it into the corner, battling away, and Alex Newhook can't come away with the puck there. Pittsburgh will head out to the other end, but they'll have to take a quick change here. Montreal first to that puck, trying to get it out past their blue line, and not many options. A scary opportunity there, as the Pittsburgh Penguins are very aggressive on that forecheck. Almost a giveaway, but it remains safe and heads all the way back to the Pittsburgh zone. It takes one pass to send it all the way back towards the Montreal blue line, but that goes in offside. So the Pittsburgh Penguins starting to come alive a little bit, just can't seem to get the right shots on net.
Yeah, it's they're, like you said, they're starting to pick it up, and they're not getting, like you said, the shots to the net, but they're setting up. They're starting to come around and making the plays that they want to try to make, and I'm sure that'll change as the game goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. The Pittsburgh Penguins have possession in their own zone, but Montreal causing some havoc, making it difficult for them to get it out, and they managed to hang on. Almost a shot on net, but that one does miss. Looking at the chat here quickly, Canadiens Connection podcast chimes in to say Colin White wearing number 36. The last Canadiens player to wear that sweater number was Brett Lerneau. So very interesting comment there from Canadiens Connection podcast. Montreal in their own zone right now as they go off on a change, looking for opportunities, but circling behind that net, it's Jordan Harris. Crosby's out there for the Penguins. Harris looking to break out the puck. He manages to get that first pass, and it's a dump and chase. Jarry behind the net goes out to play. Now the Penguins heading back the other way, past the blue line, looking for an opportunity, but the Montreal Canadiens being very aggressive in front of their own bench there. They managed to finally get it out past the blue line, and they're looking for an opportunity. They can't make it work. Bad giveaway. That one goes right through Jarry. Montreal Canadiens with the first goal of the game. It looks like it's Mike Matheson, and Colin White appears to have been out there.
Yeah, perfect screen by Pearson.
Absolutely. So whoever predicted Mike Matheson getting that first goal, then congratulations to you. But looks like Jarry did not see this whatsoever, as Matheson takes a shot and screened directly in front.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good play by Montreal, taking advantage of a loose puck there, and Tanner Pearson going to the front of the net, Matheson just burying it. I think it's a good play.
8th of the season for number 8. So The Montreal Canadiens off to a 1-0 lead here. And did not see that happening. I didn't think that the Pittsburgh Penguins would be giving up a bad pass like that directly to Matheson, who's got some good offensive capabilities. So big error there, and they see themselves down 1-0 in the early parts of this period.
Yeah, and again, Montreal, we got our defenseman scoring our first goal of the game again. So our defense has done very well getting goals for us this season.
Absolutely. Last night in Buffalo, it was Xhekaj and Struble with the 2 Montreal Canadiens goals. So 3 goals for the Canadiens so far in these 2 games, and all coming from defensemen. When's the next forward going to score is something I'd like to know. But the Pittsburgh Penguins do manage to get into the offensive zone here. I think they're going to come back and look to get even things out pretty quickly here, as they did start to get some momentum. Montreal, though, looking for another opportunity. Centering pass gets broken up. Breaking things past center, back the other way. The Pittsburgh Penguins in the offensive zone, but they can't find a way to work their way around that Montreal defense. That Montreal defense has been pretty aggressive, especially on that back check, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, what's the saying? A good defense brings out a good offense. So, I mean, good to see our defense doing things on both ends of the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. So that looks right now like that's an unassisted Mike Matheson goal, as that was a pick that went directly to him. No other Habs on the puck, and as you said, Tanner Pearson, the only one anywhere nearby, providing that nice screen. So yeah, there you go. Mike Matheson unassisted as the Montreal Canadiens up 1-0, leading the shots department 12-6. So certainly some pep to their step today. It's going to be difficult to keep this up. Of course, they played last night. I wonder if after this period they might start to slow things down a bit. Pittsburgh a little bit slow out of the gate here. They've not been outright a terrible team, but a big mistake in an errored pass puts them down by 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, we got the whole game still to go. Montreal played last night, and obviously I know from, watching Montreal Canadiens and doing these live streams that Montreal's second periods are always not too friendly to them. So, we still got lots of game to go, but hopefully Montreal stays, a hop in their step and they're able to maintain this lead. But I guess we'll see how the next 2 periods go.
And just a little correction on my pronunciation. I believe earlier I pronounced it as Brett Lernout, but it's actually Brett Lernout, and he's from Winnipeg. So my apologies there. It happens where sometimes you don't get the pronunciation right. Unfortunately, that happened, but I appreciate that correction, and feel free to correct me along the way if there's anything else there, but not planning to do that too often throughout this game. Of course, Colin White wearing that number 36. That's something that he's been wearing throughout most of his career. This goes back to his Ottawa days. Former first-round pick. Went to pretty, late teens, early 20s. NCAA star. Had a great showing at the World Juniors for Team USA when he represented them. He actually scored a gold medal winning goal in the shootout to give Team USA that gold medal. And unfortunately, since coming to the NHL, things have just not translated. This was a very sought after prospect at the time. Perhaps it was too much too soon for him. Maybe some injuries got in the way and the fit just wasn't there. But I think it's a bit of a surprise if you were to go back in time to 2017 and tell me that Colin White would be on waivers in 2022. I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah. No, it's especially if you look at, how he's done throughout his career, where he was in the draft. I completely agree. I wouldn't have been able to call this for sure.
For sure. Pittsburgh in the offensive zone here, behind the net, battling to hang on to that puck, looking for the right pass here, goes to the point, shot. That one doesn't get past Primo at the other end of the boards. Montreal looking to break it out. They manage to. They get it past the red line and they dump it into the Pittsburgh zone, going off on a change, and the Pittsburgh Penguins heading the other way, looking for that breakout pass, and they manage to find it as they break into the offensive zone, dump and chase. They don't get to that puck first, but being very aggressive on that forecheck. Montreal having trouble getting out. Pittsburgh manages to get possession here, pass to the point, shot goes right through Primo and scores. Tied 1-1.
Yeah. Matheson. A little bit of a giveaway there to Malkin, and Malkin up to Letang, and Letang shoots and right through Primo.
Yeah. Matheson responsible for goals on both sides, I guess. Didn't look like Primo saw it. Kind of a wrist shot from the point there. It didn't look like it was overly powerful.
Yeah, it definitely a screen in front by our own guy, by Evans there. Just it kind of went off his blocker and just under the arm and in the net.
Yeah, it is Evans right there, and it looks like that might have even hit Evans on the way in. Primo trying to get to the top of his crease there, and just don't think he even saw it.
Yeah, no, he definitely, with all the bodies there, I'm sure he didn't see that. And again, another defenseman scores.
Yep. Amy chimes in with Chris Letang, and it's going to be Chris Letang's 5th goal of the season. And of course, Amy also says Matheson giveth and Matheson taketh away. So yeah, very true. Mike Matheson has been the story of the game. Bad giveaway leading to Pittsburgh tying this one up. The assists on this goal coming from Evgeny Malkin and Drew O'Connor. Of course, that Mike Matheson goal that happened just before, unassisted. Comment coming in from Canadiens Connection. Canadiens Connection asks, who is your favorite Canadiens player who wore number 36? Matt D'Agostini, Marcel Hossa, Murray Barron, Todd Ewan, Sergio Mamesso. My apologies on the pronunciation there, but yeah, that's actually a pretty good question. So let us know who your favorite number 36 on the Montreal Canadiens. I can't think of too many. That's not a very common number to wear, but I guess mine would be actually Colin White, because I followed this player for so long.
Mine's gonna have to be Matt D'Agostini. If my memory serves me correct, I think I've only seen him play. So
absolutely.
But yeah, I saw a replay on that goal by Chris Letang, and it was off actually Evans' leg and in the net.
Yeah, I thought there was a deflection there.
Yep.
Canadiens Connection points out, not a hard shot by Letang. Off Primo's stick and in. Looked like it was going wide. So, yeah, maybe a couple deflections in there leading to that goal. But looked like it should have been a harmless play there by Letang, as it was a wrister from the point. Unfortunately, as a goaltender, you don't want to let those in.
No, you don't. I'm sure Letang was going for a tip in front, a little bit of a screen there off a player. So, I mean, it was a good thought for Letang just to throw it on net.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to 1-1. It's been a pretty exciting game so far. I think both goals coming off of some mistakes. Of course, Matheson having a part on either way. Montreal still leading the shots department 12-7, as there's an icing call that will go all the way back to that Montreal zone. I guess an errant pass there by the Pittsburgh Penguins will lead to that. But Nathan, interesting question for you. These Montreal Canadiens, not anywhere near making the playoffs, also not at the bottom of their division. Is this kind of the worst outcome for the Montreal Canadiens if the season were to end today? Is this like the last spot in the standings you'd want to see them?
You know what? Honestly, in my opinion, I'm going to say no. The reason why is that because, Montreal wasn't, expected to be in the playoffs, and to be in the position right now, they'd be in a, top 5, top 10 pick. Honestly, I think it's a good spot for Montreal, and be able to bolster their future lineup with good picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Evgeny Malkin with a shot that doesn't go through. That one goes behind the net. He'll come back to pick it up. To the point, shot stopped by Primo. I don't know if Primo saw it, but he was in the right spot. Now the Pittsburgh Penguins have a lot of energy. That shot can't get through. A couple missed shots there. Heading back the other way, the Montreal Canadiens trying to get their opportunities. They can't get the right pass. They finally do at the point. Easily stopped by Tristan Jarry. He saw that the whole way. Montreal cycling it around, throw another shot at the net. That one can't get through. Jarry with a couple more saves at the side of the net. Montreal still holding on with some pressure here. But Unfortunately, it's going to trickle out and go the other way as the Pittsburgh Penguins look to get set up. Nice opportunity there. I like that zone pressure. A little bit scrambly from the Canadiens, but just a lot of effort to throw just about anything at the net.
Yeah, I was noticing that too. They did a pass out there to Waugh, and he tried to shoot on net. And then Jacka goes, gets the puck, takes another shot. You're right. They're doing a lot of just kind of shoot the puck on net and see what kind of bounces they can get.
2-on-1 opportunity, and that one almost gets past Primo as he seems to have not tracked that puck very well. Now the Pittsburgh Penguins getting their share of zone time. Another shot. This one does not get past Primo. It's in his gloves. Carlson with a nice opportunity there. This one stays 1-1. So this game certainly getting quite exciting for us to watch here. A lot of opportunities on both sides. And I think a little bit of luck for Primo as that 2-on-1 stays out.
Yeah, I don't really know what really happened on that. The net became open for a second there, and Primo was kind of out of position. It's a good opportunity for Pittsburgh, and good to see that Primo was able to keep that out of the net.
Absolutely. Just a little update on that shot department as I've been following that a little bit. Montreal was up 12-7 at one point. Well, now it's 13-10 for Montreal. So the Pittsburgh Penguins storming back here. I thought they might try to come back and get this tied pretty quickly, and they certainly had their share of opportunities. I think defensively, Pittsburgh needs to tighten up a little bit. But in the offensive zone, they seem to be having their way. And I think a few more of these could have easily gotten past Primo.
Yeah, like you said, I agree with you with, Pittsburgh being in Montreal zone, applying the pressure. And, if like you said, they got to continue to do that, and they'll definitely get a couple more goals on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Continuing along with our topic about where the Montreal Canadiens are in the standings. Do you see them making any moves at all up and down the standings? It's they're kind of in an awkward spot. Last night, Buffalo did manage to move up on them as previous to that loss to Buffalo last night. Buffalo was actually behind Montreal in the standings. Do you see them fluctuating at all within that? Do you think that they might get overtaken by the Senators? Do you think that they might move up past Buffalo once again?
Well, I think for the Montreal Canadiens, it's like you said. I agree. They're in a tough situation, and I think they're going to be able to kind of climb above Buffalo. But I think Montreal is going to stay close in the standings with Ottawa, Buffalo, and themselves. I don't see any of those three teams really climbing too far in the standings, other than in and amongst themselves in the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. And breaking news during the game, coming from Canadiens Connection, Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins have acquired forward Emil Bemstrom from the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for forward Alex Nylander and a conditional 2026 sixth-round pick. Amy chimes in to say trades while the game is going on. That's pretty crazy. That doesn't happen too often. Of course, Pittsburgh, I guess, swapping out one Alex Nylander, who just never lived up to expectations. I think there were some high hopes for this guy, of course, related to William Nylander, if I'm not mistaken, and bringing in Emil Bemstrom, who might still have a little bit more of an upside. I guess that's certainly more of a depth kind of trade.
Yeah, I mean, putting Colin White on waivers, making this trade mid-game. I think I can agree with you, Michael. I think they're trying to fix their bottom six and try to bring in some players to make a push of some sort to the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. As Montreal gets a nice scoring opportunity directly in front, Tanner Pearson gets a shot, and that one is stopped by Tristan Jarry. Puck in the offensive zone for a face-off. This one's going to get wrapped around behind the net, and Montreal manages to cycle it around. Pittsburgh battling hard. They can't get to it. Tanner Pearson being strong, battling for the puck, sending it to the point. This one gets shoveled in behind the net once again. Montreal with some good zone time here. The Pittsburgh Penguins scrambling a bit. They must be starting to get tired.
Yeah, both teams are going hard in this first period. Montreal with 15 shots, but it's just and Pittsburgh with 11. I agree. I both teams are probably putting it all out on the table in this first period because, for both clubs, they want to work hard and reap the rewards of a win, right? So they're going to continue. Both teams are going to continue to push hard and see what they can get in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a comment on the trade that went down. Emil Bemstrom, 24 years old. He's a right wing with the Columbus Blue Jackets in 32 games this season. He has 5 goals and 11 points. He seems to have split the season between Columbus and Cleveland, the AHL affiliate. So, yeah, very much a minor trade for them. Might even have more implications on the farm team, if anything. But, of course, this is breaking news that goes down during the game. It's not super common that we have live trades to react to while we're streaming a game, right?
Yeah, no, it's this is actually a first for me. So to be able to be a part of it, it's good. It's a new thing, right? So I enjoy it.
Absolutely. Just a little update on the game here. Montreal at 15 shots to Pittsburgh's 11. So that zone time seems to have helped them out quite a bit. And just so you know, as we're in the final 3 minutes here, we have a little intermission show prepared for everyone. So make sure you stick around and hang out with us as we have a great intermission show. We'll take a 3-minute break too, and we'll talk about just about anything from Montreal to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Pittsburgh, unfortunately, does not get a shot off on that odd man break. Primo out to play the puck here. Matheson shovels the puck over to his D partner, Caden Gooley, looking for a breakout pass as his team makes a quick change, getting past his own blue line, looking for a back pass, back to Matheson. Fortunately, not too many options here as Pittsburgh causing some havoc on that forecheck. Now, Montreal dumps it into the offensive zone. Tristan Jarry out to play it. Pittsburgh Penguins do manage to get to the puck first, but Montreal causing a little bit of havoc there as well, sending it back down to the other zone. Once again, Montreal there to pick it up first. It's Jordan Harris cycling around, trying to get past his own blue line, but he manages to. Outlet pass doesn't really get to the player he wants it to. Now Pittsburgh has control of the puck. Just in the last minute 20 of this first period, still tied 1-1. It's been a pretty exciting first one. A goal for either side. Mike Matheson with an impact on this game so far on both goals. Of course, getting the first goal, and for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Matheson with a bad giveaway leading to that goal. Pittsburgh with a couple of opportunities at the side of the net here, battling. It looks like it's Crosby there poking at the puck as one Caden Primo manages to be strong on his pads and hang on to it. Crosby seems to be having some words there with Colin White.
Yeah,
his former teammate.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just all fun and games with that conversation, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The stream here, doing a quick look up at Jason Spezza and Kyle Dubas up in the booth. They seem to be quite happy about the trade that they just made as that one went down during the game. Pittsburgh Penguins acquire Emil Bemstrom from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Shot goes off the post here. Caden Primo has to slide out and cover that one up. That was a pretty good opportunity there. Another shot from the point. And yeah, doesn't look like it was deflected at all. Caden Primo just did not track that very well.
Yeah, it looked like it went off like the top of the post. It wasn't the crossbar. It was like just close to the corner. It was a bullet of a shot for sure.
Absolutely. Amy chimes in with Carlson absolutely ripped that one. And that was a heavy shot. Montreal with a 2-on-1 opportunity. They can't connect on the pass. Now Pittsburgh going to head the other way. Past the red line here. Arid pass goes directly to Mike Matheson, who's behind his net. Now Montreal trying to come the other way. About 30 seconds to go. Matheson breaking in. Of course, Matheson, a former Penguin. Montreal acquired him in the first Jeff Petrie trade that they made with the Penguins 2 summers ago. And about 10 seconds left here. Looking for one final opportunity. A shot all the way from the other zone hits Tristan Jarry. He manages that pretty well. Now the Penguins trying to get one shot on net, and they do. Now the period has come to an end. 1-1 is the score. Mike Matheson with his 8th of the season coming at 9:05 into the period. And then about 3 minutes later is Chris Letang to tie it up, his 5th of the year, assisted by Evgeny Malkin and Drew O'Connor. So 1-1 is the score. We'll take about a 3-minute break here, and we'll be back with you very soon for our intermission show. So make sure you stick around. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Well, welcome back to our Rocket Sports live stream watch along. Montreal Canadiens taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. And just a quick little recap here. Tied 1-1 after one period. Mike Matheson with the first goal for the Montreal Canadiens, taking advantage of a terrible giveaway, and Tanner Pearson providing the screen in front for the Pittsburgh Penguins just a few minutes later off of a bad giveaway from Mike Matheson. It's Chris Letang with his 5th on the season, assisted by Evgeny Malkin and Drew O'Connor. The Montreal Canadiens leading the shots 16-14. And what's your big takeaway from that first period?
Well, I think my big takeaway from that is both teams are pressing each other. Beginning of the first period, Montreal was giving it to Pittsburgh, applying the pressure, getting some zone time. But on the back half of that first period, I feel that Pittsburgh was able to kind of do the same thing to Montreal and be able to get themselves a lot of scoring chances for both teams in that first period.
Yeah, absolutely. I think pretty good period for both teams, and I liked the response from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Obviously, I don't think they were playing bad, but Montreal just had that extra little bit in the first half of that period, taking control of a bad giveaway in the offensive zone there. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins kind of just stuck with it. They've had their fair share of offensive opportunities, but defensively, the Pittsburgh Penguins not looking great so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's for Montreal to have 16 shots in the first period. Montreal doesn't really get that many shots in the first period every game that they play. So it's good to see that they're able to do that. So which kind of makes me feel that, maybe Pittsburgh was just a tad, like you said, a couple steps behind them.
Absolutely. So just before we get into our intermission show, Nathan's notes, we'll get to hear all from you, Nathan. I'd like to just remind everyone about all the other great Montreal Canadiens content that we put together. Head over to thn.com/Montreal. That's the hockey news for Montreal, as we provide game day posts, feature articles. We also cover the Laval Rocket there. You can give us a follow on Twitter @Rocket Sports, and you can also follow us at Rocket Sports Media Inc. on Facebook and at Rocket Sports Media on Instagram. We also have a podcast that comes out every single Saturday, the Canadiens Connection podcast, and we cover the Montreal Canadiens. We are your inside link to the Montreal Canadiens, as a matter of fact. Quick comment comes in from Amy, and Amy says, Primo wasn't tested much. I expect that to change in the second. I agree. We've said a few times, too, that the Montreal Canadiens played last night. They had to travel to Pittsburgh today. They're going to be tired. I don't think they'll have as much juice in the second and third period. So I wouldn't be surprised if Caden Primo faced a lot more opportunities than he did in that first period.
Yeah, and I think, for the second and third period, it's especially the second period hasn't really been nice to the Montreal Canadiens this season. So, I'm looking to see if that plays a factor as well in the second period.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you like to follow along with us, make sure you head over to Twitter. I just said it, @Rocket Sports. We live tweet the game. That's coming from Rick Stevens, Rocket Sports, giving you all the details. So make sure you give us a follow @Rocket Sports. And now it's a good time to get into Nathan's notes. So we talked about where Montreal is in the standings just a little bit. You said that you weren't too disappointed in it. I pointed out that right now the Montreal Canadiens not anywhere near the playoffs, also not at the bottom of their division. They're kind of just a floater in the middle. Last night, the Buffalo Sabres did manage to move up on them in the standings, but you're not too worried about it. You said that you're all right with where they are in the standings, and you don't think that they're necessarily going to move around at all. I have a couple things to point out here, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. So right now, the Montreal Canadiens have the most goals against in their division, the fewest goals scored in their division, the worst goal differential in the division, and they're third in loser points. So I think going to overtime in the shootout has actually been a big factor in Montreal not being at the bottom of the division, because they in fact have the least amount of wins. So what do you think about that? Does that change your opinion at all?
Well, when you look at all the information, I kind of, looking on it now, I feel that, the overtime and shootouts may have actually played a little bit of a factor for them to be where they are in the standings. But I feel that where they are right now, it's good for a rebuilding team.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, on that note, what is your thought about the draft lottery? Because that's a pretty big topic of discussion as we look at the standings, especially for rebuilding teams. Is this something that you like to do? I feel like the draft lottery was brought in as a way to try and deter teams from being near the bottom of their standings when they want to get that best player available in the draft. They want to get that first overall pick. But yeah, a lot of teams do purposely put themselves towards the bottom of their division. What do you think about all of that?
Well, before the way of the draft lottery is now, I was actually getting upset with the old way of how they were doing it, because teams were, like you said, deliberately losing to be at the bottom so they can get that first round draft pick. So when this new system came in and there's a draft lottery and there's odds, and if you come last, doesn't mean you don't get it. Doesn't mean you get the first round draft pick. You just have better odds to getting it. I feel like it was a better move for the NHL. But as things stick around, teams are going to find ways on how to kind of go around that rule and try to get the best pick for their team. And I don't blame them, because evidently a team that's not doing well in the standings would love to you get that number one prospect. So for me, as time has gone on with this new method, I feel that teams are smart enough to figure out how to kind of go around that rule and see what they can do. Like, it's not guaranteed that you get the top pick, but your chances are better. So, I mean, I'm kind of in the middle about it. I mean, if someone was to come to me and say, hey, Nathan, we're going to try this, and this, I would be like, okay, so what would be different? Explain to me how it would be different from the first way, from this way. So, I mean, if they could find a way where teams couldn't kind of do things in their favor to get that pick, I think it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the chat here, Canadiens Connection chimes in. Montreal Canadiens record this season in the second game of a back-to-back is 1-9. Only win was December 22nd against Chicago. So obviously the stats not on Montreal's side so far. In this intermission show, but just in general, I don't think I'm very surprised by that. I feel like it's a very difficult thing for a team to be able to win on the second half of that back-to-back. And I feel like you and I have experienced that quite a bit as we've done these streams. It's happened on a number of occasions. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think I agree with you, Michael. I think, if I was to go play hard the night before and have to go play a game the next day, I would be personally tired, so for professionals, they're all human, right? So it's going to feel that way. But I think, that, the stats don't lie to the eye test, right? When you're watching the games, you can see that Montreal is just not that engaged in those back-to-backs. But tonight seems a little bit different, but the game is still young.
Yeah. Just looking at the chat again, it looks like we have a brand new viewer tuning in saying they're from Welland, Ontario. So Ashvac, welcome to the show. And Welland, Ontario, I'm not familiar with that. I'm assuming it's a smaller town. So let us know, just like Amy says. Let us know, are you a Habs fan or a Penguins fan? We're accepting of fans of all teams. But as we come along here in this intermission show, I have a question for you. Nick Suzuki has been pretty good lately. Maybe not last night. Unfortunately, he was held off of that score sheet. But just a couple weeks ago, he was named third star of the week in the NHL. He's been on a tear. 53 points in 56 games, 15 points in his last 10 games. What's going on with Nick Suzuki?
I think, Nick Suzuki has always been a good player for the Montreal Canadiens. Every year you've seen progression in the way you would like to see it. And this year is nothing different. I just think that, he's being able to capitalize on the scoring chances he's getting. But if you take a look at last night's game and you see the way Suzuki was playing, he was able to stop, two goals from happening. That back check to lift the stick to take the puck away from the Buffalo defender. I think it was Dahlini took that from, was just a great play to stop them from getting a goal. And honestly, Suzuki's still young, and I feel that with his progression and especially with the pieces he's got around him, I think honestly that Suzuki could be close to, or if not a point per game player.
Yeah, he's certainly looking like he could come close. Let's talk about Pittsburgh for a little bit. We've talked a lot about the Montreal Canadiens, but what do you think is next for the Pittsburgh Penguins? Right now, I see Jake Guentzel on an expiring contract on the trade bait list for both TSN and The Athletic. Pretty much everywhere I look, it looks like Jake Guentzel is likely to be traded at the deadline. What do you think is going on with the Penguins here? Do you think that they're going to make any drastic moves heading to the trade deadline? How do you see this playing out? Because they still have a pretty good core: Crosby, Malkin, Letang.
Yeah. No, I do agree with you on that, Michael. And their core is like, hey, you can't question that core because they've done a lot for their franchise. But honestly speaking, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins management is going to look at all options. I'm sure they're going to talk to their core. They're going to, talk to players that, are, want to stay, may want to go. But honestly, if I was the Pittsburgh Penguins, I would try to continue to build a team to try to make the playoffs and ultimately try to win the Stanley Cup, because, your core players aren't, they're not getting any younger. And, But to answer your question about who would be the next person out, I would have to say, I'd have to agree. A lot of talk about Jake Getzel, and he would be the return you'd get for a player like him at the age he's at. I think would be beneficial for Pittsburgh to make that trade, but I think they'd have to hit on that trade to make sure they can make the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, according to Pierre LeBrun, the Vegas Golden Knights have some interest in Jake Gensel. Another name that Vegas might be looking at reacquiring despite trading him this past summer is one Riley Smith. It's also said that another former team in the Florida Panthers might have some interest in Riley Smith. Do you think that that's another possibility to be headed out the door?
Well, I mean, if you look at his numbers and look at his gameplay this year, I don't think he's lived up to the hype that they were expecting him to be. So, I mean, if a team comes knocking and saying, hey, we're going to give you, I don't know, second, a good prospect for Riley Smith, or a third and a good prospect, that's, if you're going to get good pieces back and to help build your team, I think you would make the trade for sure.
Absolutely. So, is there kind of a missing piece on Pittsburgh? It seems like like I said, they have a very good core, but is there something they might do to try and bolster their lineup? Maybe not heading into the trade deadline, but in the off season, is there a piece that you think that would really help them get back to that playoff potential? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, we keep talking about their core players, right? So, I mean, outside of their core players, I think they have to build a stronger bottom six, to be honest. I think the players they brought in this year, the Noel Achari, Riley Smith, and a couple other players they brought in aren't living out to what they expected those players to be on their bottom six. So, I mean, if Kyle Dubas goes out and finds, key players and being able to make transactions to help surround that core with the right pieces, I feel that Pittsburgh Penguins can get back into being in contention and potentially win a Stanley Cup.
Absolutely. Just looking at the chat here quickly, Amy chimes in to say, I think Pens get the next goal. Actually, the next 2 goals. So, Amy, trying to get that 5-2 goal prediction to come into fruition. Canadiens Connection also chimes into the chat here. There is a Montreal connection with Welland. Welland Canal is an important part of the St. Lawrence Seaway, connects to Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. So interesting facts about Welland, Ontario that I didn't know there. So appreciate that comment there. Seems like a great place to live. And of course, there's always a Canadiens connection, or a Montreal connection in this case.
Actually, kind of a Montreal Rocket Sports connection. I actually live 30 minutes outside of Welland, so
there you go.
Right there in my backyard.
Nice. So I'm in Montreal, so like we always say, there's always a connection there. And Canadiens Connection also chiming in with Cal Clutterbuck and Paul Bizanet are from Welland, Ontario as well. So there you go. Great hockey city, it seems like. I guess I've been missing out by not going to this place already. I'll have to come and visit.
Well, they do have a Canadiens team. Their junior team for Welland is called the Welland Canadiens, and they actually wear the Montreal Canadiens colors. So
there you go. It gets even better. Love that. So lots to talk about Welland, Ontario as we head into that second period. Montreal and the Pittsburgh Penguins tied 1-1 after that first period. Pretty exciting. Of course, we still have time to get all of your goal predictions in. We want to know, what do you think the final score will be? Let us know in the chat which team and what the score is going to be. We've had a few come in already, and bragging rights is what we're looking for, and we'll take all your predictions up until the end of the game. As this period is underway, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins looking for a breakout pass that errorly passes directly to the Montreal Canadiens. They break into the zone pretty quickly here, looking to cycle this around from behind the net. They can't manage to get it out as Montreal pounces on that one pretty quickly. And I've mentioned this Pittsburgh defense a few times as it's looked a little bit shaky. What do you think about the potential of Pittsburgh maybe wanting to go out and get a defenseman? Because in my mind, That's really a piece that they do need. I feel like they would really benefit from getting a shutdown right defense because they have some good puck movers, Carlson, Letang, Graves, but they don't seem to have too many shutdown guys.
Yeah, actually, you know what? The good thing you brought that up because yeah, when I look and think about the Pittsburgh Penguins lineup, they're really strong on one side and a little bit light on the other. So I do agree with you on that shutdown defenseman, and a shutdown defenseman, you could always just look over to the Montreal Canadiens and see what kind of defenseman we have and make a trade with us again if that's something Pittsburgh wants to do.
Of course, the Montreal Canadiens and the Pittsburgh Penguins have collaborated on not one but two Jeff Petrie trades. So it wouldn't be a huge surprise if they managed to do that once again. But let's take a little look at this period. What do you think will be the outcome here? Do you think that the Pittsburgh Penguins will take a lead, or do you think that Montreal is going to claw back and take back over?
Well, I think, to be honest, I think Pittsburgh Penguins are going to come out a little bit stronger than they did in the first. And evidently, I think there's going to be 3 goals scored or 4 goals scored this period, 3 for Pittsburgh and 1 for Montreal. So it'll be a 4-2 lead for Pittsburgh at the end of the second.
Nice. Interesting prediction. Not a whole lot of faith for Caden Primo so far. Our good friend Amy has pointed out in the chat that it doesn't seem like Primo was tested too much in that period. What have you thought about his game so far?
Well, some of the plays I've seen, throughout the first period is, some of his positioning, like Amy said, he wasn't really tested much, but then there was some positioning where I was kind of like, okay, so why hasn't he moved quick enough? Or, there's just he looks a little slow. Not, I wouldn't say like super slow, but it might be a step off some plays. I don't know if it's like the screens in front of him or if he's just trying to get a better angle at the puck. But I just feel that he just needs to just play the position a little bit more square.
Yeah, absolutely. So not a whole lot happening in this period so far. Maybe shots on either side. But both teams looking to get set up and back into it. Montreal heading back into the offensive zone here. It looks like it's Alex Newhook with some speed. He can't work his way around the Pittsburgh defense. Now behind the net, Pittsburgh manages to try and cycle this around, but it's given away right to the Montreal players. At the point, Jordan Harris with the shot. That one doesn't get through to Jari. Now kind of scrambling at the side of the net, but Pittsburgh will lock that down and prevail with the puck there, moving it out to center once again. Looking at the chat here quickly, Canadiens Connection chimes in. Hard to get used to seeing Kyle Dubas and Jason Spezza in the Pens management box. Absolutely. Yeah, I was just thinking about that myself too, because both of those guys from Toronto, and they seem to be a package deal as they went to Pittsburgh over the summer. Of course, Kyle Dubas likes to bet on his cores. He had the core 4 in Toronto, and I think it's more of a core 3 in Pittsburgh right now. But I don't know. Maybe you consider Carlson or Mike Sullivan part of that core as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I mean, considering Carlson gets paid, $10 million, I'd hope he can get thrown into it as an important piece. But again, you don't know what these Pittsburgh Penguins, what they want to do with certain players. So I guess it's safe to say, they got, what they want to do with those core 3 players because they've been there for 18, 19 seasons together. So.
Yeah, exactly. And they've had a lot of luck. They've had some Stanley Cup winning seasons there. But like you said, perhaps some age getting to them and perhaps just not a good mix right now. So Montreal in their zone at kind of along the boards here, battling for the puck. Puck almost gets through to Primo there, but fortunately that stays out. Now Pittsburgh being very aggressive as they try to hang on to that puck, keep it in the zone. They do not do so successfully, and Montreal headed back the other way. Dump behind the net, Tristan Jarry there to play the puck. That one gets sent all the way into the offensive zone for the Penguins. Almost an odd-man break, but that gets shut down pretty easily. Mike Matheson diving to try and get that puck out of the blue line. He can't do it, but eventually his D partner there, Caden Gooley, manages to. weak shot at the side of the net as Crosby behind the net to try and send that one around. Just kind of curious too. We have the trade deadline coming up pretty soon, and just for those that might not be aware, we're doing our next game is going to be on March 7th on trade deadline eve. So the last game before the trade deadline will be streaming here. Make sure that you mark your calendars for that one against the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm just going to throw that down below just so you all know too. But who's the most interesting player or team in your opinion as we head towards that trade deadline?
The most interesting team heading into that trade deadline would have to be, I would have to say, the Vancouver Canucks. I know they've already brought in another a piece from Calgary, Lindholm, but I think that if the Canucks want to continue to be competitive and ultimately win that Stanley Cup, I think they can get a couple more pieces at the bottom defenseman, like you said, a shutdown defenseman, and maybe another bottom six forward to kind of balance everything out and give them just more firepower.
Yeah, absolutely. Montreal to the power play here as the Pittsburgh Penguins head into the box. It's going to be a 5-on-4. Montreal, like we said, struggled on the power play quite a bit, but a good opportunity there. Almost gets past Jarry, but Jarry with a great save. Montreal hangs on to the puck, but we get more whistles here, waiting to see what happens. Perhaps an offside. But pretty exciting sequence there on the power play for the Montreal Canadiens. Cole Caulfield almost has a wide open net, and it's Tristan Jarry making the great push to the side and coming away with a blocker save there. Great stop. That might be the save of the game, or the play of the game at the very least.
Yeah, no, that was a good play, and it's good to see that Montreal is getting opportunities.
Absolutely. So it looks like that was an offside as they did not hang onto the puck, and the faceoff's going to come outside that blue line just a little bit here. Montreal wins that. Now they're just kind of regrouping in their zone and looking for their options. You mentioned that you have your eyes on the Vancouver Canucks as they head towards the trade deadline. What about the Calgary Flames? They seem to have a lot of players available, including one Elias Lindholm that they traded to the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, actually, now you bring again the Calgary Flames. I saw that they got two defensemen potentially going to get traded out, and I think Calgary actually has some good pieces, and to be able to trade those pieces out and get some good returns for them would be great for Calgary. But I think the teams picking up those two players, I think, will very much help them go deep in the playoffs.
Of course. Montreal's power play here continues, looking for a good pass, but seem to be passing around a lot. Not too many shots. It's Slavkovsky there that passes things off. And a shot from Slavkovsky gets blocked there. He went for a slap shot and unfortunately cannot get it past that Pittsburgh defenseman. Primo had to play it in his own zone. And this power play is coming to an end. So not a whole lot, a couple exciting moments, but Tristan Jarry, of course, the best penalty killer on the Pittsburgh Penguins in that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple good shots by Slavkovsky there. Good on the defenseman to get in some of the shooting lanes to block the pucks from going to Jarry. But I think between Tristan Jarry and the defensemen that were blocking the shots, I think that was a good penalty kill for them.
Absolutely. AB chimes in, as per Aaron Portzline on Twitter, if Emil Bemstrom scores 6 goals the rest of the season with Pittsburgh, the 6th round pick in 2026 becomes a 3rd round pick. So there you go. That's the conditions on that 6th round pick that the Pittsburgh Penguins sent to the Columbus Blue Jackets alongside Alexander Nylander in exchange for Emil Bemstrom.
Yeah, I think the conditions on that trade were pretty decent. I think 6 goals is a reasonable target. But hey, score 6 goals, you get a 3rd round pick. Sure.
Yeah, not bad. So, of course, definitely a depth move for this team and moving on from some players that maybe did not live up to what they were projected to be when they were originally drafted. Of course, Emil Bemstrom, 24 years old, so still some potential. Pittsburgh breaks into the offensive zone. They almost had a great opportunity, but that one got blocked with the stick. Right now, Montreal leading the shots department 20-14. So they've certainly had control, especially with a few shots there on the power play. I'm a little bit disappointed that the Pittsburgh Penguins have not shown a little bit more here.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the period, I was like, hey, Pittsburgh's going to score 3 goals. But like you said, we've seen one shot or 2 shots since the beginning of the period, and not really, too much hop in their step. And they took a penalty this period. So, I mean, I think they're getting a little tired.
For sure. Good shot at the side of the net as a sprawling Primo. Don't think he touched that. Pittsburgh Penguins on control right now. Couple more shots. Finally, a block there by the Montreal defenseman, and that gets sent out of the zone. Pittsburgh looking to regroup here. They get back into the zone with speed, looking for more opportunities. Crosby cycles that one around. Behind the net, Montreal does manage to pick that one up. Jake Evans trying to tip that one out. It goes past the center line, and Pittsburgh manages to hang on to possession still. This is, as we were saying, that we were looking for a little bit more from Pittsburgh. They managed to bring a little bit more to the table as they've put together a couple exciting sequences. Shot from the point. That one gets tipped off of Primo's toe. Now back out to center. The Pittsburgh Penguins still hanging on to that puck before Montreal finally manages to slap it behind the net, and they'll go off for a quick change here.
Yeah, good little sequence there from the Pittsburgh Penguins, getting a couple good opportunities to try to put one in the back of the net.
Absolutely. Pittsburgh Penguins now breaking into the zone here. Montreal picks that one up pretty quickly, and they'll cycle that one around back into the offensive zone for the Montreal Canadiens. Looking for a shot. That shot doesn't go through and whistled down as that one, I believe, goes out and over the glass into the netting. And we'll be into the next commercial break here. So a bit of an up and down period for both teams, to be completely honest. I think some defensive breakdowns on either side, but both goalies, some great saves and a little bit of luck if you're Caden Primo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that was the second shot that goes off the post and into the netting for Primo. So hopefully he's rubbing those posts and thanking them for doing a great job.
Absolutely. I mentioned we'll continue along with a little bit more on that trade deadline, but just quickly here, do you think that Montreal has anything more in store as we head towards that? They already made a trade shipping out Sean Monahan in exchange for a first and a conditional pick, but right now I'm seeing Jake Allen on those trade bait lists by TSN and The Athletic. Is there another move coming potentially?
Well, I think if you're the Montreal Canadiens, outside of your core players, I think you just listen to any kind of offers and see if there's anything that's worth trading away. I mean, I've heard, David Savard, maybe a Tanner Pearson. Tanner Pearson's on an expiring contract. So, there's a couple pieces that may move, but I don't really see Kent Hughes really going out and getting anybody at the trade deadline.
Yeah, fair enough. And just a little reminder to all of our viewers tonight, we're asking you a very special question. We want to know, who do you think is going to win tonight? We want to know the final score in the team. So please let us know. And in the chat, we'll give you a shout out along the way too. We've had a couple predictions so far, but we want to get a few more of those in there. Also, we will have another intermission show between the second and third period. So make sure you stick around for that for more exciting discussions. And anything you want us to talk about, leave your comments down below. So back into the game as that commercial break comes to an end. It's going to be a face-off in the offensive zone for the Montreal Canadiens. They managed to win that, but it's Pittsburgh with the puck at the side of their net. Almost a scramble play that hit Jari, but they managed to get it out pretty quickly here. Fortunately, pass does not connect once again, and the Montreal Canadiens prevail. Some aggression on the forecheck manages to get possession back if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins. and they get a shot. That one doesn't get through. It seems like the Montreal Canadiens are blocking a lot of these opportunities as Pittsburgh are taking a lot of point shots.
Yeah, I think Montreal is starting to see a little bit of kind of same gameplay that Pittsburgh's trying to do, just trying to get shots from the point, like you said. But I think Montreal is kind of doing kind of the same game plan, trying to just throw shots on the net and trying just to see what could go in or what kind of bounces they can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And Caden Primo, someone that a lot of people don't seem to have faith in the chat and on the show. I think that's the best thing that you could do. I don't think he's made any stellar saves so far. A couple of those shots might have actually gone in, but they just happened to miss the net as Caden Primo sprawling, unfortunately, didn't seem to be anywhere near the puck. And to be honest, that first goal that went in, I feel like he probably should have had that.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the replay and you kind of look at his positioning, and it's. I think if I was playing that, I think I'd like that one back for sure.
Absolutely. So honestly, apart from those last few chances from Pittsburgh and the power play by Montreal, there's not been a ton going on in this period. It seems like both teams maybe taking a step back. I think it's any man's game at this point.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Michael. It's like you said, not too much exciting stuff, and I think it's just both teams are just waiting for the other team to make a mistake, and they're going to capitalize on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, the Montreal Canadiens with an offensive zone faceoff here. It's Suzuki versus Crosby. Crosby wins that one. Puck gets sent out to center ice there. And the Pittsburgh Penguins having trouble with those breakout passes. A lot of those being intercepted by the Canadiens. And the Canadiens headed back the other way, breaking into the zone here. And that gets stopped up. Pittsburgh comes away with the puck now. Now trying to head back the other way. Pass at the red line. They come in with speed. Montreal swarming every Pittsburgh player that has the puck, though. Looking for some space behind the net. Pass right at the hash marks and a shot that misses completely. It goes all the way out of the zone down to the other end of the ice. Carlson there to pick it up. Carlson acquired just last summer. If I'm not mistaken, that might have been the first trade made by Kyle Dubas and Jason Spezza. Of course, Jason Spezza, briefly a teammate with Erik Karlsson in Ottawa. What are your thoughts about the fit of Erik Karlsson here? It seems like the Pittsburgh Penguins, it's a bit of a weird fit in my opinion because they also have Chris Letang. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's when they first made that trade, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's a good trade for Pittsburgh. But like as the season's gone on, I feel that he's put up pretty good numbers. But when you look at his numbers from last season to this season, and if you look at this time last season, he's not even close to what he was at. And so to answer your question about him being a fit in Pittsburgh, I feel that his fit in Pittsburgh hasn't really been up to what the management has expected, but I mean his point totals are there. So I mean they're gonna and he's doing well for what he is, but I mean to have two big names like that, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of confusion if they were to both be on the same power play or on the same defensive pair.
Yeah, absolutely. Letang has gotten on the board tonight. He's getting a little bit older. He's, of course, had some injury problems throughout his career. What are your thoughts on him this season? Do you like what you see?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's had some injuries throughout his career. He had that scary one a couple seasons back where it took him out for quite some time, but he's been able to come back and do pretty good things for Pittsburgh. And I feel that with what he's done for Pittsburgh and what he's been able to do and what he's going to do for them, I think he's done pretty well this year for him.
Yeah, fair enough. And things still tied 1-1 in this game. Are you surprised that there has not been a goal so far in this period? I feel like some people were predicting a bit of a high scoring period for Pittsburgh anyway.
Yeah, like I myself was one of those people who said, hey, Pittsburgh's going to score 3 goals in this period and Montreal's going to get 1, and we're over half of the way through the period and we've seen no goals. So I'm quite surprised, to be honest, but honestly, I think both teams, like I said before, are going to play it safe, and they're just going to wait for one of these two teams to make a mistake.
Yeah, fair enough. And as we come through this game here, Tristan Jarry has actually looked pretty good so far. You have to go back to that key save, the blocker save, shorthanded, actually, where he came across the net and he stopped Cole Caulfield from scoring and going up by 1 goal.
Yeah, no, it's been sorry. I think my stream's ahead of yours.
No worries.
So yeah, I mean, for what just has gone on, for Montreal, I feel like if we can get Cole Caulfield on the board, that'd be good. And but yeah, I mean, it's been a hard fought battle between these two teams, and I'm just still waiting for one of these teams to make a mistake.
Yeah, fair enough. And do you think that we might see another shootout here? I know we did a 12-round shootout the last time we covered both of these teams, but is that something you might anticipate here? Because it's still tied up 1-1.
I feel like I said before, I think these two teams aren't going to go into overtime, but judging the way this game has been going and what's been going on, and since like you said, we're at 1-1, I feel that the potential is there for sure. Okay, so we have just a little bit of technical difficulties, but no worries. So we got Malkin passing the puck down to Raquel. Pittsburgh shoots, and they score again. Pittsburgh is up 2 goals, 2 quick ones by Pittsburgh to make the game 3-1 at 8:09 in the second period. So a little bit of a push from Pittsburgh, and be able to see them get a couple goals in quite a big quick sequence is not good for the Montreal Canadiens, that's for sure. So just like Amy Johnson has said, and another one. There's two quick ones here by Pittsburgh here. Looks like a clean shot by O'Connor goes right in the top corner above the blocker on Caden Primo. So Montreal down 2 goals, and yeah, that kind of puts the pressure on them to fight back. So looking to see Montreal to be able to fight back here and apply a little bit more pressure to Pittsburgh.
Apologies for that. Some technical difficulties along the way here. I guess Pittsburgh Penguins up 2-1 right now, but I'll let you continue along with those updates.
Yeah. So I mean, Pittsburgh is put on the pressure for the Montreal Canadiens, and is really, I think, is going to change the complexion of the game. I think Pittsburgh has found a way, and they're going to keep applying the pressure to Montreal.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like those Pittsburgh Penguins do go up by 1 goal there. A nice quick goal there to go back. And it's going to be another Pittsburgh Penguins goal. I believe that's Drew O'Connor.
Yeah, no, it was Drew O'Connor. Just a clean shot over the blocker. Just a nice shot by him. And there we are, up by 2 goals for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, for sure. So there we go. Back with the score up 3-1 for the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. And 2 quick goals. Amy Johnson, very quick to point out. And another one. So
yeah,
we'll get sorry, go ahead.
I said, looks like her prediction is getting a little closer.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Amy did predict 2 goals for the Penguins in this period. So far, so good.
Yeah, no, I need 2 more goals in this period to make my prediction the same too.
Absolutely. So this thing got exciting just as I tapped out there briefly. So unfortunately, I missed both of those. But you know what? It seems like the game might get a little bit more exciting here. What are your thoughts on Caden Primo for both of those goals? You said that that Drew O'Connor one was kind of a clean shot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Montreal player trying to get in the way of the shot, but from my angle, it looked like Primo could still see that puck. So I mean, that's a shot you want to have back as a goaltender, especially when you just got scored on about a minute and a half before that. So it's definitely a goal that Primo wants to get back.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And the Penguins continuing to apply some pressure. A quick shot just at the side of the net there. He stands, he's pretty strong down with his paddle down. Montreal trying to send things back the other way. Almost an all-man break, but the Pittsburgh Penguins pretty good with their stick in the poke check there, keeping that away. Malkin looks like he could have been tripped there on that play. And yep, that's going to be to the box. Might be Arbor Xhekaj with the trip on Evgeny Malkin.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have said anything about Arbor Xhekaj. That all of a sudden he took a penalty tonight, which it's unfortunate, but it happened, and now Montreal just has to kill off this penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Arbor Xhekaj does not look very happy about that at all, as he kind of has some choice words to say as that penalty gets called. And of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins scored on the power play just earlier, so Montreal is going to want to be careful here, as that appears to be coming alive.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Montreal doesn't really have the best penalty kills, so that may or may not happen again in the second period.
For sure. But things off to a pretty good start as the Pittsburgh Penguins have to regroup in their own zone and try to get in here. But it's Crosby coming in with some speed. He makes a cross-ice pass that does not get received cleanly. And once again, they'll have to regroup in their own zone and try to get a clean zone entry here. Being very patient with the puck there, looking for all their guys to come back. Once again, Crosby in there, can't get around the Montreal defender. That one goes the other way. Could have been a shorthanded opportunity, but the Penguins have to be very careful on that one. So, yeah, things not looking good so far for the Penguins. And there's Karlsson having to regroup as it looks like they'll get their other unit out there, making a bit of a line change.
Yeah, I think it looks like they're going to be throwing out their second line with the second power play unit with Riley Smith, Jeff Carter, Matthew Phillips, Chris Letang, and Given Malkin.
For sure. Now back in the offensive zone, battling along the boards, and looks like once again struggling to have control of the puck. They do get a shot at the side of the net on Primo. Nasty hit behind the net on the Pittsburgh Penguins forward. Nick Suzuki almost with an odd man rush. He can't get around the defender. He passes that one off. That one gets blocked. Now Montreal in the offensive zone taking control. Sending this one back, and it looks like Jordan Harris is going to regroup in their own zone, killing off some time on this power play, and it looks like we will be heading back to even strength. Not a great power play for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, no, they, at times they had, glimpses of potential, time in the offensive zone, but Montreal has been able to keep that puck, out of their zone and in their zone at times on that power play. So it's good on the Montreal Canadiens penalty kill.
Absolutely. Behind the Pittsburgh Penguins net, battling for the puck, looks like Montreal's going to come away with it, but not very easily. Error pass almost in front of Jarry there. Montreal does recover with it. Jake Evans cycling this one around. You know what? Jake Evans has been a bit of a standout in this game, in my opinion. He seems to be doing quite a bit for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, you just take a look at that last sequence where he was just putting the pressure behind the Pittsburgh Penguins net and just trying to get that puck from their defenseman. And I feel that, Evans is, had his moments over the last couple of games, and you really started to see him shine through at parts of the last couple of games.
For sure. Montreal having to be careful in their own zone. Mike Matheson almost with a giveaway in front of his own net, and Caden Primo covers that one up. Looks like we'll be heading into a commercial here as Caden Primo has a bit of a scary moment, but luckily this one stays out. And Pittsburgh Penguins up 3-1. Brian Rust on the power play, his 16th of the year from Karlsson and Crosby. And then just 20 seconds later, 21 in fact, Drew O'Connor scores his 8th of the year from Puustinen and Erik Karlsson. So your player to watch out for, Erik Karlsson, on the board with 2 assists so far tonight.
Yeah, like I said, he has this thing against Montreal where he just puts up the points. So it's it's like a continuous thing for Carlson.
Yeah, absolutely. Carlson, I guess the Hab killer. I believe Carlson has met the Habs in the playoffs on a couple different occasions there. I guess more so with the Ottawa Senators. And of course, Carlson, always a big performer in those big games. Last season, he was the Norris Trophy winner. This season, I don't think he will be in contention for that, but still putting up some good numbers there for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, for sure. So just for fun here, I know that we have fans of all sorts of different teams like to tune in and watch along with us. Just kind of in your personal life, how do you feel about fans of other teams? Is there anyone that you're close with that cheers for an opposing team? And how's that whole relationship go for you? Is it difficult?
Well, it's if it's a Toronto Maple Leaf, I've got a lot of friends. I've got about 15 friends that are Toronto Maple Leaf fans. So those conversations are always a little difficult, Toronto being rivals to Montreal. But some of my favorite fan bases to watch games with are actually, I got a brother that cheers on the Pittsburgh Penguins. And actually I have a brother that cheers on the Anaheim Ducks. So it's, I do enjoy watching those games. And actually a shout out to my father-in-law too. He's a Buffalo Sabres fan. So being able to watch those games with those family members I actually really enjoy it. And like I said, if it's a Toronto Maple Leaf game, it's a little bit uglier, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. So back into game action there. Almost an opportunity in front of the net. Caden Primo has to stand tall there. Crosby with another shot. That one does not get through to Primo. It doesn't look like. And Montreal having to be very careful here. They're going to cycle things around behind their net as Pittsburgh goes off on a quick change. The Montreal Canadiens now trying to break things out here. They get the puck past the blue line, clean zone entry, looking for an option for a pass at the point. There's a shot. That one gets blocked and stopped at the side of the net by Tristan Jarry. Well, speaking of some of those close ones that cheer for other fandoms, in recent history, we did have a game where Montreal faced off against Buffalo and a game where Montreal faced off against the Anaheim Ducks. So did you end up watching those games with those loved ones, or was there any chirping or anything?
Well, okay, so last night's Buffalo game actually was under the weather, so I wasn't able to watch it with my father-in-law. But for the Anaheim Ducks game, I had my brother over, and we have a pool table set up with my TV, and we were playing pool and watching the game. And I was chirping a little bit just because it's not every day that Montreal beats Anaheim 5-0. I think Montreal sees Anaheim, twice a year. So to be able to win 5-0 gives me a lot of bragging rights. I know it's the Anaheim Ducks, but hey, both teams are in a rebuild, and it's get the bragging rights against my brother.
For sure. Dying seconds of the period, Montreal in the zone with a couple of opportunities there. Pittsburgh being very aggressive, blocking that puck, taking the puck away. Evgeny Malkin with a great defensive play there, but almost gives the puck away in front of his own net. Just a few seconds here. We might get an opportunity here for Montreal, but the Penguins having to be very careful in their own zone, but using their bodies to protect that puck pretty well within pretty tight space. And still 3-1 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. It looks like the period will come to an end that way. Shots 25-24 in favor of the Penguins. Last period was not that way. The Pittsburgh Penguins did not have control in the shots department whatsoever. So certainly the tides are changing.
Yeah. That second half of that second period, Pittsburgh really turned it on and I think found a couple holes in Montreal Canadiens defense.
For sure. So coming up here as this period ends with a 3-1 Pittsburgh lead, we'll take our 3-minute break, and then we'll be back for another edition of Nathan's Notes, and we'll give you all your second period coverage and, of course, some other fun topics along the way. So make sure that you stick around with us. We'll be back in just 3 minutes. back. Thank you for watching this game with us here on Rocket Sports YouTube channel. It's our live stream watch party for the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. And just a little recap of that past period there. The Habs are down 3-1 after a Drew O'Connor goal that came 21 seconds after a power play goal from Brian Rust. Make sure that you follow at Rocket Sports on Twitter for all of your in-game updates. And we appreciate you joining us to watch along this game. If you're not familiar already, we do all sorts of great Habs content, and I'll let you know where you can find it all. Head over to thn.com/Montreal. That's the hockey news for Montreal. We do game day posts. We have feature articles. We cover Laval and many of the Montreal prospects on there. Like I said, too, you can follow at Rocket Sports on Twitter. You can follow at Rocket Sports Media Inc. on Facebook, at Rocket Sports Media on Instagram. And we have a podcast that I host every single Saturday alongside Rick Stevens. You can find that on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Or at CanadiensConnection.fm. And that was quite the interesting period as the Montreal Canadiens do go down by 2 goals in that one. Of course, their penalty kill forfeits one, but then they followed that up with a pretty good kill as well. What is your takeaway from this?
Yeah, I mean, in the second period, it was, at the beginning of it wasn't really much of anything, to be honest. I mean, Montreal was getting some shots. Pittsburgh was having troubles getting in Montreal's zone. But ultimately, Pittsburgh was finding ways in that second half of the second period and was able to pot 2 quick ones. Like you said, one on the power play and then one just a nice shot by O'Connor there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have all sorts of fun topics that we prepared to chat about during this one. And of course, the Montreal Canadiens not likely making the playoffs this year. But what about the Laval Rocket? Right now, they're on the outside looking in. Do you foresee them making any adjustments to their lineup between now and the end of the season to try and make a push towards that playoff?
I think... I think they're going to make some changes. I don't think they're going to be necessarily long-term changes for the season. I could see maybe Laval calling up, Lane Hudson later on, and if he's able to get into Laval Rocket AHL team. But ultimately, I feel that since, like you said, Montreal's not going to make the playoffs, so our Joshua Waugh is going to get sent back down to be able to give Laval Rocket some scoring touch for them. So I don't really think they're going to do much to make the change for them to make the playoffs. I just think that when it becomes playoff time, they're going to have all their key pieces back in the lineup.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And what are your thoughts on one Lane Hudson having a pretty good season in the NCAA? I think it's likely that he joins the Montreal Canadiens before the end of the season, but do you think that he would benefit from some time in Laval and can help out that lineup?
Well, I think, I think for sure for him to be put in Laval, I think he would definitely be able to help them out. But, like you said, Lane Hudson's had a great season in the NCAA. And hey, if he can get a couple games, 2-3 games this season to be able to, get the feel for what the NHL is all about, I think that would be good for him. But again, I could see him in both leagues, NHL for a couple games, and then evidently if he can swing it, be in the AHL for their playoff run.
Yeah, absolutely. And as per one Arbor-Jack guy, he spent some time in the AHL a little bit earlier this season. He's come up and, these last 2 games, I think he's been pretty all right. Do you think that he's someone that might end up back in Laval to try and help them out?
Well, I mean, if, it all depends on kind of where the Laval Rockets stand, right? So, I mean, on paper, he can get sent, he can go down and play with the Laval Rocket. That being said, I think, obviously someone would have to come out. So if he was to get sent down, I think it would have to be like a Brandon Keeper that would be like more of a 7th defenseman. Just because, Arbor-Jack would be a good addition for the Laval Rocket, not taking anything away from Brandon Keeper. But, we saw Jack Guy's point totals in the short time he was in the AHL. So he would be a good addition to the Laval Rocket.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brendan Gignac put back on waivers, purpose to reassign him to the Laval Rocket for the rest of the season, I believe. What are your thoughts on what he might bring to the table? As they've been missing him the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he had really good point totals in the games he was down in the AHL. And it gives him a centerman back. Like you said, he was a great piece for them prior to being called up to the Montreal. And as long as no one takes him in the waiver wire, I'm sure he'll be in Laval to help them out, just to give him more scoring touch up the middle of the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a little reminder, too, for all of those tuning in to watch the game with us, make sure that you send in your score predictions before the end of the game. We'd like to know what your thoughts on what you think the final score will be, and we'll take that right up until the end. And if you get it right, well, we'll give you some bragging rights, that's for certain. And in general, just feel free to send us any comments or questions you might have in that live chat, and we'll make sure to give you a shout out and read it on the screen. Continuing along with the Laval Rocket, Montreal's AHL affiliate. Recently, Strauss Mann was reassigned from the AHL to the ECHL. He'll be joining the Trois-Rivières Lions, and that coming in light of one Casimir Kaskasuo finalizing an AHL contract 1 year with the Laval Rocket, and he's come in and really helped solidify that position alongside Jakub Dobes.
Yeah, I mean, with Strauss-Mann being sent back to the ECHL, it's tough for him, but at the same time, we brought in a goalie, Kaskasuo, who's evidently done very well for Laval, considering I think he got his first loss a couple of games back for him that he played. So for the goalie situation in Laval, I think Dobes and Kaskasuo being a 1-2 punch is good for Laval moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, Montreal, unfortunately, they do have a three-headed tandem in the NHL. Their number 3 guy playing the game tonight, and one Caden Primo. But do you think that one Jakub Dobes has played well enough to earn a start before the end of the season, or do you feel like it's better just to keep him in the A and let him develop?
Well, I mean, at the beginning of the season, he struggled, unfortunately, and I think that was just the transition coming into the AHL, and for him to be able to get an NHL look, I think this year will not be his year. Not because he's not playing well. It's just like what you said. There's a 3-headed goalie tandem in the NHL, and to try to bring up another goalie to give him a game would be very difficult for the Montreal management team to say, hey, I've got 4 goalies up in the NHL right now. I don't think Dobes will get a look this year, but I think for sure next year, look to see Dobes to get a look in the NHL.
Yeah, for sure. Taking a look at one Juraj Slafkovsky, who the past week has been making headlines. He's been pretty good, making his way up to 12 goals on the season after a very slow start. Well, in the summer of 2025, his ELC will be coming to an end. Is this someone that you might look to lock up long term? Have you seen everything that you need to see there? Or do you feel like you want to wait this one out and be patient when it comes to contract negotiation?
I mean, for me personally, I would lock him up. And the reason why is that you want to kind of show, players from other teams, say in free agency, to show them like, hey, like this is Montreal's identity. We want to do it this way. These are the pieces that are going to be locked up. So if you want to come play for our team and it kind of be an attraction, because Juraj Slafkovsky, he is getting, his ceiling is there. He's getting to the point to where all that hype is starting to build up and he's starting to show that he's a good player, and he's only 19 years old. He's going to be 20 at the end of March. And for him to start to show that he's making these moves to be a better professional hockey player, I think locking him up for an 8-year deal would be beneficial for both sides of the coin.
Actually, I feel like I might not completely agree with you on that one. I actually had a different perspective, if you don't mind hearing me out on this one. With this, I feel like I've just not seen enough of the consistency. I want to see Slavkovsky do what he's done the past few weeks for a full season before I throw out that kind of term and money. When it came to Caulfield and Suzuki, I feel like it was pretty clear what these players were, and I still think the jury's out on one Slavkovsky. So I'm wondering if something more short term and a lot of patience might be what's beneficial for this player. I almost feel like I want to wait until his contract expires before I send any kind of offer his way. And I feel like something shorter term might be more what I would do, at least. What do you think about that?
Yeah, actually, when you start to when I start to think about it in that way, right? So, I mean, what now you kind of open a perspective for me, right? So, like, what would be the rush? Why would we, like you said, let's wait that one more year and take a look to see what we have, right? Or if or if the management's in a rush, I was starting to think like like a 3-year deal, like another 3-year deal at a low cost to see what he's got in him and what's it worth. Because like if you look back to like Kirby Doc, like we signed him to a cheap deal because he was injury prone and we wanted to see what we had with that player. So I mean that does make sense on that ideology on what you want to do with Slavkovsky. That actually might be the better route, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm glad I could have an influence. Taking a look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, we've talked about Crosby hitting the 30-goal mark so far this season. Overall, looking great, living up to expectations like crazy. Pittsburgh Penguins, though, very much on the outside looking in. As per Pierre LeBrun, it seems like the Penguins are taking calls on everyone with the exception of their core pieces. But do you have any reason to believe that any of those core pieces might be a little bit impatient and wanting to compete pretty soon, potentially wanting out?
Well, you know what? If we're just talking about Malkin, Letang, and Crosby, I'm going to say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is it's very simple. These three players have done everything for this franchise for the last 18, 19 seasons. They've grown up together. They've won Stanley Cups together. And, for if they were to be split up, I think it would be, it would be weird for those players to play against one another. I think it would cause a little bit of distraction, so to speak, in the Pittsburgh locker room for sure.
For sure. And to be honest, I feel like with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, there's a certain amount of legacy there with Pittsburgh. They've all taken discounted contracts in order to stay there, so I feel like I would be shocked to see any of these guys in another uniform. Kind of similar to Alex Ovechkin. I just feel like if we were to play anywhere else, it just would not be the same, right?
Yeah, and I think the return on any one of those players would be astronomical, and I don't think there's a team out there that would want to give up, their whole, I wouldn't say the whole prospect covered, but like a lot of good pieces just to get one player on for maybe 3-4 more seasons.
Yeah, definitely. And we've talked about this. I think I've mentioned it a couple times, but we have covered these two teams before. We've done a live stream. I believe the first one on this channel was Montreal versus Pittsburgh. It went to the 12th round of the shootout to get an answer. Have you attended the shootout live? I feel like the shootout's become somewhat controversial in the last few years. A lot of people not being big fans of it. I personally love it. But have you gotten to see a shootout in a live game before?
Oh, to see, I wish. I've not yet seen a shootout in real life, but I've spoke to a couple different fans from different fan bases and kind of got their feel on it, and it's a different vibe in the arena. Like it's more like everyone's just like more amped up, and it's I feel like the energy level, like they tell me the energy level is different, and like some are like worried, but then some are like super excited. I mean, I would love to see one in real life, but personally, I haven't seen one just yet.
Just not the pleasure. I feel like I've been to a few of them. It's always my luck that when I'm at a game, it seems to go to extra time somehow. I've been to a few, but it's always edge of my seat. I love watching this. It's one-on-one. You get to see some great moves by the players, some great saves by the goalies. Anything could happen, really. So I always find that to be one of the most exciting things to see live, and even like sitting down and watching it at home too. It's I just love watching the shootout. Even when I've been to a few skills competitions growing up too, and when they do the shootout competition with all the players, that's pretty fun. I enjoy that quite a bit.
Yeah, I bet that would be exciting to watch live. You get all like the number one players from each team or from every conference. It's definitely a little jealous of that, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Taking a look at the trade deadline, as I've mentioned before, our very next stream is actually going to be on trade deadline eve. I'll just throw it up here on the screen for everyone. March 7th, Montreal versus Carolina Hurricanes. So mark your calendars, hit the notification bell, and subscribe on this channel. That way that you get notified and you get that appearing in your stream and you don't miss out on it. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting trade deadline. You've talked a little bit about Vancouver and Calgary and what they have to offer. One of the names circling around for Calgary is Jacob Markstrom, the goaltender. Lots of rumors out there as to where he might fit. I think most recently there's reports of the Devils having some interest in Jacob Markstrom. What are your thoughts on the potential of Markstrom being moved? I mean, last season he was not good and arguably the reason why the Flames missed the playoffs. This season he's been spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, I think because where Calgary is, and they've already started to sell off their core players. I think Markstrom going to the New Jersey Devils would be a good fit for them. New Jersey doesn't really have that stellar goaltender or consistent goaltender night in and night out. So I think Jacob Markstrom would be a great addition to the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like we're getting set up here for the third period as Montreal Canadiens down 3-1 by to the Pittsburgh Penguins here. Montreal looking to battle back, and we'll see what we have in store for this period. Canadiens Connection chiming in to the chat here. It's traditional. Can we have a tour of Nathan's background? And absolutely, Nathan. I'll bow out and let you.
All right. So I have a leadership Montreal Canadiens Rocket Richard picture there. I have this beautiful Montreal Canadiens flag with a couple of scarves, a nice little toque there, a little lawn gnomes, a Montreal Canadiens puck, and a signed Ken Dryden hockey card. So looking to add a couple more pieces every season, every live stream. I'm hoping to have a new piece moving forward.
And call me jealous, because that is quite the setup that you have there. And of course, the signed Ken Dryden, that's pretty awesome. Do you think you can grab that and hold that up for us?
Oh, yeah, I can grab that for sure.
I'd love to see that.
Oh, Ken Dryden card, little signature there. And then it just tells you Ken Dryden, number 5 of 22 cards.
Nice. So very amazing collection that you have there, and always bring to these streams. We love to see it and show it off to everyone. So big thanks to Canadiens Connection for pointing that out to us and letting us give another little tour there.
I enjoy showing off the Montreal Canadiens stuff. I hope to continue to grow the collection over the years to come.
Absolutely. So as this third period is underway here, not too much happening in the early parts, just both teams trying to get some good positions to get a couple goals. If you're the Montreal Canadiens, you're down by 2. I feel like they started to slow up towards the end of that second. Of course, they're on the second half of a back-to-back. And then if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think I'm seeing a little bit more energy on that side.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Michael, and you can tell leading into like at the end of the second period, it was that second half of that second period was Pittsburgh. There's no doubt in my mind that it was mostly Pittsburgh, but hey, it's going to be a good third period. Let me tell you.
For sure. Right now, Montreal leading the shots department once again, 26-24. Getting a few good opportunities there, but Jari's looked pretty good in net for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's been tracking that puck very well. His lateral movement and his ability to sprawl out, as we're seeing right now, his ability to sprawl out and cover that puck is pretty great. And honestly, I'm very impressed with what I've seen from Tristan Jarry so far tonight. He's really solidified himself as a goaltender.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that one, Michael. He's made a couple big saves. One actually in the third period here on Joshua Waugh, on just a post save. They're able to kick over and save the puck from going in the net. So uh, great plays by Tristan Jarry tonight against the Canadiens.
Absolutely. We're going to get a puck drop in the offensive zone for the Montreal Canadiens here. Pittsburgh's going to want to try and win this. I feel like they've been pretty good on the faceoff dots so far in this game. But of course, always dangerous when you have to take a face off in your own zone here. Looks like they're having trouble sorting out who's going to take the face off, even as one of the Montreal Canadiens gets the boot. Tanner Pearson goes in and loses that face off. Montreal does manage to hold this one in, though. Behind the net, it's a bit of a battle. Both teams trying to come away with the puck, and Pittsburgh looks like they'll get it out. Past the blue line, they do. But not very cleanly, as Tanner Pearson's been on top of the Pittsburgh Penguins, giving them trouble. This one gets dumped in behind Caden Primo, almost a wraparound attempt, and a shot or a pass intercepted by one Colin White, who switched dressing rooms this morning after being claimed by the Montreal Canadiens off of waivers from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not noticed Colin White too much. Of course, centering that fourth line for the Montreal Canadiens. Has he done anything that stood out to you so far, or do you think it's he's been a little bit quiet with limited minutes?
I think he's been quiet. I think with limited minutes, I think it's just Martin St. Louis just trying to ease him into a new system, a new team. And the only thing I really saw was, they showed glimpses of Colin White, and I just saw him having a little conversation with Noel Achari at the beginning of the game there, and he looks like he's just trying to have fun out there.
Yeah, for sure. As the Pittsburgh Penguins, it looks like there was an icing, if I'm not mistaken, and it might go back all the way to their offensive zone. Colin White, known to be kind of a likable guy in the dressing room. Everywhere he's gone, he seems to be a favorite amongst his teammates, the fans, as far as I'm concerned. Certainly like this player, but of course, just someone that could never get it figured out. He had one 60-point season pretty early on with the Ottawa Senators, playing shotgun next to one Mark Stone and Matt Duchene. Of course, he was on the wing at that point, but unfortunately, since Mark Stone parted ways from the Ottawa Senators along with Matt Duchene, he's just not been able to get back to form, and perhaps some injuries getting in the way. But very curious case of Colin White, who was once a pretty good prospect, and I don't think it was even bad scouting on Ottawa's part to take him in the first round. He was a very coveted guy, and I think a lot of other teams would have taken him in the exact same position.
Yeah, no, it's I completely agree with you, Michael. I think it's just a bad case of losing good line mates, and like you said, getting injured. But he's still young, still got a lengthy career left, and hopefully he can turn around and get up to the point totals he'd like to be at.
Looks like Ricard Raquel is going to get called for tripping, as the Montreal Canadiens are going to go back to the power play. So far, 0 for 2 on the night, whereas the Penguins have been 1 for 2 on the power play. So we'll see. This is an opportunity for the Montreal Canadiens to get within one. Of course, Tristan Jarry has been the best penalty killer so far for the Pittsburgh Penguins, as Montreal has generated some opportunities, but could not solve Tristan Jarry.
Yeah, a couple good, one-timer shots for the Montreal Canadiens, and Tristan Jarry just, like you said, he's being their number one penalty killer and keeping that puck out of the net. So good on Jarry, but looking for Montreal to continue to apply that pressure.
Absolutely. So Montreal passing that puck around, looking for a shot from the point potentially. Looks like Slavkovsky with the slap shot there. That one stopped easily by Jarry, and that gets sent all the way down to the other end. Caden Primo comes out to play this one, and it's going to be Mike Matheson trying to break his way up the ice there, the former Penguin. Montreal with a drop pass to try and get a clean zone entry. They managed to get in. Caulfield sends it back for Matheson. Matheson holds it in. He passes it back to Caulfield. Caulfield looking for a shot, for a pass through the middle of the ice. He can't find it. Again, Montreal passing around. Not too many options. Pittsburgh doing a good job covering up the center of the ice there and not giving too many clean shot opportunities. And as that happens, wide open opportunity at the other end of the goal for Uri Slafkovsky. That gets stopped and sent all the way down through the other end of the ice, and Caden Primo comes out to play the puck. So Montreal looking for that right pass. They managed to find it, but unfortunately could not finish.
Yeah, I mean, it's, their power play. They're trying different things. They're not doing like that drop pass to get in the zone. And when they're in the zone, they're trying to look lateral. They're trying to look at Cole Caulfield or Uri Slafkovsky. So good overall, but I would like to see if the puck goes in the back of the net.
For sure. Pittsburgh Penguins once again will clear that puck. Not too much time left on the power play, about 15 seconds. So you might get one more rush here. Looks like the second unit is out with Arbor Xhekaj on the point. They get a shot, and that one goes up and out of play. Brendan Gallagher looking up to the stars. He doesn't seem too happy right now. Brendan Gallagher, he's been pretty quiet tonight, known to be kind of a physical presence, known to be someone that can agitate a little bit, but unfortunately, I'm not feeling his presence so far in this game.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I feel that Brendan Gallagher, I haven't seen his usual self since he's been back from that suspension. I don't know if it's just getting used to being back in the game or just taking a little extra caution. But yeah, I agree with you. I haven't really, other than that one shot he just took, I haven't really seen much of Brendan Gallagher tonight.
Yeah, for sure. So things back at even strength. Montreal with a couple shots on that power play, but nothing to show for it. A couple good blocks as well by the Pittsburgh Penguins there. You saw that key one on the replay. Shot from Uri Slafkovsky at the side of the net that got blocked with the Pittsburgh defender's stick. And that might end up being the changing moment of that game, because it didn't look like Jari was going to get across on time.
Yeah, that looked to be a wide open net, and good call on the defenseman to get in the way of that shot.
For sure. So it's been the Tristan Jarry show tonight. He's faced 29 shots. Only one got through, and he didn't even see it, as there was a screen from Tanner Pearson right in front of him. Been very impressed. I feel like if Tristan Jarry can continue to shut down the Montreal Canadiens the way he has, he's easily the MVP of this one, and a lot of those Pittsburgh Penguins should end up buying him a few drinks after this game.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Michael, and he's doing well, and I think that I think that might be getting into Montreal Canadiens players' heads a little bit. Not being able to get one by Tristan Jarry.
For sure. We got a Go Habs Go in the chat from Mire. So thank you for joining us tonight. A little bit of time left in this third period. The Pittsburgh Penguins still up 3-1. And as Amy kind of pointed out in an earlier message, I'm going to try to pull this up pretty quickly, but here it is from Amy before, I believe this one was just at the beginning of the first period. And Amy says, what's frustrating is the common theme of Montreal, where they vastly outshoot opponents, but still come up short in goals. That seems to be the story of tonight. So Amy, predicting this one just as the game started, and lots of occasions where that's happened so far this season. We saw that last night in Buffalo. And like I said, Montreal has scored the fewest amount of goals in their division so far. Apart from Suzuki and Caulfield, it's been a struggle to find the back of the net.
Yeah, it's hasn't been, like you said, it hasn't been the best for Montreal getting the pucks in the net. And I hope to see a little bit of a push here in this third period by the Montreal Canadiens. For
sure. So almost at the halfway point as we come back from commercial break here. It's been a little bit hit and miss for both teams. I think that Montreal, of course, have had the better of the chances with that power play. But again, the Pittsburgh Penguins, I don't think, have been particularly bad. They've not done anything all that wrong outside of just taking that one penalty there by Rickard Rakell with the tripping.
Yeah, I mean, it's, Pittsburgh's been doing great. And I mean, that penalty, probably one he doesn't want to take, but I mean, it's called, but let's the penalty killer, number one penalty killer, Tristan Jarry has been doing great. So look to see what he can do in this next penalty kill.
For sure. Taking a look at the chat, we have Rick chiming in with Tank Commander here, and of course, sounds like he's a big fan of Montreal doing a tank this season. Not in the last place in their division, as the Ottawa Senators are just behind by a few points. I think it's possible that they do fall to the bottom of their division before the end of the season, but right now, kind of floating in the middle. They could overtake Buffalo. They could stay right where they are right now. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's we'll have to see, a couple more games, see how the next couple of weeks before the trade deadline plays out to see kind of where they'll be in the standings. But I agree with you. I don't see them moving too far up.
For sure. And as we say that, it looks like Pittsburgh is headed back to the box. Looks like Brian Rust with a tripping call there right at the blue line. He's not happy about it, but Montreal back to the power play. Perhaps they'll have an opportunity to cut this lead down again. But so far, 0 for 2, I believe. They've not been able to score on either of their power plays. 0 for 3 rather.
Yeah, no, it's Montreal. I mean, okay, Montreal's had shots on net, had a couple good chances, but the penalty killers for Pittsburgh and Tristan Jarry have been doing a great job keeping that puck out of the net.
For sure. And Montreal loses that face-off. Pittsburgh's going to go out and send that behind Caden Primo's net pretty early on here. Taking a look back at the chat, Canadiens Connection chimes in with what do you think of all the former Canadiens players appearing on trade bait boards? Joel Edmondson, Brett Kulak, and Mike Hoffman. I'm not surprised to see that that's the case, of course, with Washington being outside of the playoffs. Joel Edmondson, of course, makes a lot of sense. He can add a lot to a team as they make a playoff run. And of course, he's a big defenseman, so that's pretty coveted. Brett Kulak and Mike Hoffman, I find that a little bit surprising. Maybe less so for Hoffman, as he's on the San Jose Sharks that, of course, just looking to acquire any kind of assets that they can. But I think not a big surprise for Edmondson. I just hope that none of these teams acquire more for these players than what Montreal was able to, if I'm being honest. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, I agree with you. I'm not surprised on Edmondson and Hoffman, but Kulak, I'm a little surprised. I mean, I feel that Kulak's been a good piece for Edmonton, leading up to this season. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's just maybe they're trying to get a bigger piece or a bigger defenseman. But yeah, I'm surprised with Brett Kulak being up on the trade board.
For sure. About 30 seconds left on this power play. It looks like this has been kind of a dud from Montreal. As they've not managed to get too many shots on net. It seems like every time they get into the zone, Pittsburgh sends it back out. They might get a shot here before the end of this power play. About 15 seconds left. Yeah, it looks like Jarry stopped that one there. Slap shot coming from the face-off dot. That one doesn't get through. Montreal starting to look a little bit frustrated here, passing that puck around, looking for anything. Newhook almost with an opportunity there. Jarry stands tall. Actually, not even sure if those got through to Jarry. They could have missed, to be completely honest. And this one gets sent all the way to the other end as the penalty comes to an end. Pittsburgh still up 3-1. Looking at the chat here quickly, Rick says that get the best draft pick, Amy. And Ottawa winning tonight, and big Rocket game coming in tomorrow. So, of course, I guess Rick, a big fan of Team Tank, as he said, the self-proclaimed tank commander here. So we appreciate that. We talked about that a little bit earlier on. We talked about the draft lottery and where Montreal is in the standings. But did you want to reiterate any of that just quickly here?
Well, I just feel like, Montreal is in a good position for like their spot in the standings. Anywhere between where they are now and further down in the standings would be great for a good draft pick for Montreal. So I'm not going to say I'm Team Tank, but I'm good. I want to see Montreal play hard and also get a good draft pick at the same time.
For sure. Rick chimes in, will Gignac clear waiver? Of course, Gignac was placed on waivers today as Montreal claimed Colin White off of waivers. I think so. I can't see a team wanting Gignac for the NHL. He seemed to struggle a little bit. He had his first NHL goal against the Anaheim Ducks last week, but I just don't think that he's a great fit in the NHL. Amy chimes in with a good question, as Canadiens Connection has mentioned that new contract for Gignac will likely discourage any takers. So Gignac was offered a contract extension not too long ago, so I agree with all of that. Canadiens Connection chimes in saying Jaden Struble headed to the Habs dressing room. So hoping he's okay. Of course, he's been a very good piece since being called up.
Yeah, no, he has been a very good piece.
So we'll keep an eye on that one for you. As we're less than 10 minutes to go in this period. Montreal in the offensive zone, but not managing to come away with too many shots. Pittsburgh coming the other way. They'll send that behind the net, ring that one around. It's Crosby there to pick it up. Slavkovsky does manage to come away with it as he strips Crosby of the puck along the boards. Matheson circling back here, letting his team go off on a change. So Nathan, less than 10 minutes to go, and looks like a mistake, almost a costly mistake by Mike Matheson at the side of the net there. Caden Primo has to be sharp. Do you think that Montreal might get something past Tristan Jarry?
As a fan, I would love to see Montreal at least score another goal, give them a little bit of a little bit more hope to win the game. But as of right now, judging how this period's going, it doesn't look like Montreal's going to be able to have that opportunity. But there's still less than 10 minutes left. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. Looking at the chat there, as jazzed about Logan Mailloux yesterday. So it looks like Rick's a pretty big fan of Logan Mailloux, and of course, Logan Mailloux off to a great season with Laval. Represented Laval at the AHL All-Star game as well. Is this someone that you'd like to see get a look in the NHL, or do you want to be patient and let him sit in the AHL for the rest of the season, as he's been very successful there?
Well, the fan side of me would be like, yeah, let's bring him up to the big club. But for me personally, I feel that, it's his first year in the AHL. Let's keep him down there. Let's let him keep getting those top minutes, big moments, and keep letting him cook down there.
Looking at the chat here, kind of an interesting thing coming from Budge. Budge says, I am actually at the game. So thank you for watching along with us while you're at the game. That's pretty awesome. Let us know if you have any good seats. And of course, Amy replies to that. Wow, Budge. Great to have you join us. What's the atmosphere like in the building? So, of course, they're in Pittsburgh. And be curious to hear that from you there, Budge, if you want to let us know. And as we get back from commercial break into the game here, just wanted a little reminder. We have another stream coming up next month, March 7th. The Montreal Canadiens take on the Carolina Hurricanes. And as mentioned before, this is a game where it's the last game before the trade deadline. The trade deadline happens the next day on the Friday. So it's going to be an important one. So we'll have all sorts of great discussions, and it'll be a lot of fun if you want to join us. So best way to keep track of this, make sure that you tap subscribe and tap that notification bell on this YouTube channel. That way you never miss any of our live streams or other great content. So back to the game as we come back from commercial break here. Once again, less than 10 minutes to go. Jarry comes way out to play the puck there. Looks like he might have been hit. He's slow to get back up, and he's staring down the Montreal Canadiens. Now we're getting a scrum behind the net. It's Josh Anderson, the first time he's made an appearance in this game. As far as I'm concerned, I guess he may have taken some liberties there with Tristan Jarry.
Yeah, I mean, I know he was going for the puck, and I know Tristan Jarry came out of his net quite a ways. So, I mean, if you kind of look at the replay, it looks like Anderson's putting the brakes on or trying to get out of the way. But, obviously there's going to be a scrum if you're going to hit their number one goaltender.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was more of an accidentally on purpose sort of thing. Looking at the replay, he kind of leans away from it, but definitely went in pretty maliciously, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's definitely don't want to be hitting any goaltenders. That's for sure.
So Budge answers our question to say it's crazy there. Budge is at the game tonight, so we're super jealous. And once again, thank you for tuning in and watching along with us. Rick chimes in and says, "Uninspired game tonight. I think Logan should get a 5-game look, just so he gets a taste of what the NHL is." And yeah, we talked about if we would give Logan Mailloux a look in the NHL this season. He's been great in the A, and of course, it'd be cool to see him. Of course, the fan in me, like you said, wants to see it, but also it's important to be patient with these prospects. Looks like we're getting 4-on-4 offsetting penalties. Canadiens Connection chimes in with dumb penalty by Josh Anderson. No reason to touch Jari. So Josh Anderson goes in hard as Jari comes way out to play the puck, and he'll be sent to the box there. And that might be the only time Anderson actually has an impact on this game, because I feel like he's been a bit of a ghost.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I haven't seen him on the ice that often, and that doesn't that doesn't it's not good. Like when you're not seeing certain players, and you expect them to make some kind of a play or some kind of a difference maker. So it's not good for Josh Anderson to take that penalty either.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, I guess, coming up on the 5-minute mark here, some 4-on-4 hockey. Neither team really getting too many opportunities in the last little while here. I think Pittsburgh's starting to play very conservative here, trying to maintain that lead. It's a 2-goal lead. Do you anticipate that Ken Primo might get pulled at some point, and the Montreal Canadiens come out with the extra attacker?
Yeah, you know what? We've seen Martin St. Louis pull the goalie at pretty early times in the third period, and I think this game, because it's only down by 2, I think that'll be definitely a possibility for the Canadiens.
For sure. So almost a good opportunity off of an odd man rush for the Canadiens there, but Pittsburgh manages to block the shots and break that one up. Defensively, like I said, tightening up quite a bit, not taking too many high-risk chances, as you see that they're not hesitating to turn back and regroup before they break the puck out into the offensive zone there. They managed to dump that one in. Montreal first on that puck, so it's looking like it'll be sent the other way. But of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins in there causing some havoc. Mike Matheson trying to come down the other way, doing it all himself, and of course loses the puck, and Pittsburgh manages to come away with it. Matheson, I think, maybe doing too much on his own. I didn't like that from him. He took a little bit of a rush up the ice there, and I felt like there were some open passes that would have made that a lot easier.
Yeah, Mike Matheson's decision making this game is it's been 50-50 for me, to be honest. I feel that in the first period, he did great, scored a goal, but also let one in, and then he's making these other plays that's not a team play, right? So if he's going to rush the puck by himself and there's options, well, you should definitely go with the options, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Canadiens Connection chimes in on our comments about Logan Mailloux. Canadiens Connection says a brief call-up for Mailloux would be a great reward for a great season so far. So yeah, that's of course another way to look at it. There's a lot of different ways you could approach this. Of course, I feel like I want to be a little bit patient, so I don't want it to be an extended call-up, but I feel like he might have actually done enough to get a little bit of a reward here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, hey, you're leading defenseman in points, and it's your first year in the pros, and you're looking as good as what he is. I guess a brief stint would be good, especially since Montreal's not going to be making the playoffs, so he'll be able to have enough time to go back down.
For sure. Rick chimes in and agreed. Also, a pretty good question here coming from Rick as well. What do we think of Primo tonight? I think we talked about this a little bit after the first period, but he seems to be scrambly at times, having some trouble tracking that puck. But what are your thoughts? Was there any goal there that you feel like he would like to have back?
I had 2 in my mind, but I'm going to say it's the third goal that got scored on. It looked to me that the player, like Primo, can see the puck, and it was just a shot, perfectly over the blocker. And I think that's a shot you want to have back as a goaltender.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first one to an extent as well. I feel like he could have battled a little bit harder. I know that he had a Pittsburgh Penguin forward right in front of him, but he wasn't totally screened. He did see that the whole way. And of course, the puck ended up deflecting off of his stick before going into that net. So it's been up and down for Primo. I think it is what it is. He'll dazzle you with the great saves, but then there are other moments that you kind of scratch your head a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one.
Canadiens Connection chimes in. High danger scoring chances 5-on-5 are 15-6 for the Canadiens, as per Natural Stat Trick. Easy night for Primo, and he hasn't looked good. So, yeah, when you put it that way, too, it's just not been a great overall game by Caden and Primo. 23 shots against and 3 goals going in. Of course, not the save percentage you want there. And the Montreal Canadiens, unfortunately, having a rough time getting past one Tristan Jarry. We talked about this a little bit earlier, too, but I was a little bit surprised that it was Caden Primo getting the nod in net. Do you think that maybe this is Montreal trying to display Primo a little bit before the trade deadline? I know he's not on any trade bait list at the moment, but
Yeah, and it's I think that they're putting him in this game, like you said, is just to kind of show him off a little bit. Recently they saw Allen, they had Montembeault play last night, so I wouldn't give Montembeault a second back-to-back start. That would be a lot to ask for Sam Montembeault, but giving Primo this look and trying to see what you have, because I think that Anaheim Ducks game was easy for him to make 13 saves and get a shutout. So I think this was just kind of another game to show him off and see what his capabilities are against a little bit better team.
Yeah, for sure. Heading into the dying minutes here, no goalies being pulled quite yet. I'm curious if they might take a chance and take Primo out. Personally, I would at this point, as soon as Montreal gets full possession. But right now, we're approaching the 3-minute mark and still a 3-goal lead for the Penguins. Montreal not with a whole lot to show. They've had their power play opportunities, 0 for 3 so far tonight, and it's unfortunate that they could not take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, and over the recent games, the power play looked like it was starting to move in that right direction finally. But 0 for 3 tonight, it's not the power play we want, but still a couple minutes left to see what Montreal can do.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about it a little bit before too, but it seemed like the Penguins were taking shots from pretty much all over the place on one Caden Primo. Do you think that is kind of a game plan that paid off?
Yeah, it's I think that is a game plan that did pay off, because it's they got 3 goals past them, and a couple of them he probably should have had back, to be honest. So it's I think Pittsburgh's game plan, they executed it quite well.
Yeah, for sure. So game almost at an end here. Just a few minutes to go. Pittsburgh Penguins have control of it. Caden Primo still in net. Waiting for the Montreal Canadiens to try and get some clean zone time here, I think. Crosby there with a good interception. Almost a great scoring chance. That one misses. Unfortunately, the pass did not connect. Otherwise, it was a wide open net. And didn't seem like Caden Primo even knew where his net was, as he was on the wrong side of his post there.
Yeah, no, it's that was a scary one, and that almost went in, and Primo could have cost us another goal.
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm keeping my eyes on Primo at this point just to see if they do end up taking him out. But looks like an icing call. So this is going to go all the way back to Montreal's zone. We're going to have to be patient here to get to the conclusion of this game. Apart from this chance here where Crosby almost with the perfect setup that goes in between his teammates' legs. And of course, just a little bit earlier, Crosby with the shot that goes off of Caden Primo's shoulder. So he's making a pretty big impact, despite the fact that he's actually not scored tonight.
Yeah, that shot, I honestly, I thought it looked good, to be honest, and then Primo's got the shoulder in the way, which is great. So
Yeah,
Crosby has looked good tonight. I'm not going to lie, even though he doesn't have any goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So Montreal in the offensive zone here, but not for long as they get it past the blue line. Pittsburgh the other way. Wide open shot, wide open pass rather, and can't get the shot off. Montreal trying to get the other way here. They look like they're playing with a little bit more urgency. Breaking into the offensive zone here. They'll slap the puck around the net. This one is going to get cycled around. Crosby there causing some havoc. Now Pittsburgh has the puck and they flip it down to the other end of the ice. Slavkovsky there sending the puck up the ice. Arid pass, that one can't get through. Now, Montreal does eventually get control of the puck here, trying to cycle this around. But again, Pittsburgh very quick to get that puck, empty net, and that one goes right in, zone to zone into the empty net. It's 4-1 for the Pittsburgh Penguins here. So 3-goal lead. I think that just over a minute left in this one, and I feel like it's a foregone conclusion in this. Montreal just could not get set up in that offensive zone, and it really costed them.
Yeah, I mean it sucks to see an empty net goal get scored on you when you're trying to push to tie up the game, and it's just unfortunate for Montreal they couldn't capitalize on the scoring chances they had this game.
And as Amy chimes in with "ouch," it's true that almost missed the net when you watch that replay. It just kind of grazed the inside of the post there, so could have easily not have gone in. And that was Chris Letang with his second of the game. Now it looks like Pittsburgh's not done as Malkin with an interception and a shot right in front of Primo. These Penguins certainly looking to pad their stats almost. Right now, circling back in their own zone, sending the puck up the ice and trying to dump and chase Primo out to play the puck. He sends that around to Jordan Harris. Almost a misplay that ends up in front of Primo, but luckily they recover. Once again, the Penguins causing a lot of issues with their forecheck. So again, yeah, Malkin's having a great shift here as he's trying to kill as much time as possible. Shots 32-27 for the Montreal Canadiens. Like I said, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins kind of held back a little bit, and just within the dying few minutes here, they turned it on just enough to make sure that they got the victory. Less than 30 seconds to go in this one as the puck goes all the way to the other end, and it looks like we're going to get it will be an icing that goes all the way into the Pittsburgh zone.
Well, it was Pittsburgh. I agree with you with that one comment you made. With they kind of played defensively to try to keep Montreal at the outskirts, and then just like you said, turned it up, which is a well executed game plan for the third period for them.
So once again, as this game comes to an end, we are going to be sticking around for a few minutes. We will have a last call. We'll do a little summary of the game and wrap things up for you just as this one comes to an end. But first, I do want to remind you, make sure you join us for our next live stream watch along. That's happening on May 7th as the Montreal Canadiens take on the Carolina Hurricanes. And this one has come to an end. The Pittsburgh Penguins win 4-1. Tonight. So great game there by Tristan Jarry, and we appreciate you all for hanging out. We've got a little bit more coming up, and please make sure that you mark your calendars for that next game. It's the final round coming up just in a second. So there we go. Last round, final round. This was kind of a back and forth game. I was surprised to see that the Montreal Canadiens did get that first goal, but a great read by Mike Matheson. He intercepted that one and got things started off for the Montreal Canadiens unassisted. And just after that, it didn't take too long for the Pittsburgh Penguins to get on the board. As Chris Letang gets his first of the game, fifth of the season from Evgeny Malkin and Drew O'Connor. That one coming off a bad giveaway from Matheson. So as Amy said earlier, Matheson giveth and Matheson taketh away. In the second period, that's when things really fell apart for the Montreal Canadiens as the Pittsburgh Penguins managed to score 2 goals They score first on the power play. Brian Rust from Eric Carlson and Sidney Crosby. And just 20 seconds later, it was Drew O'Connor from Puustinen. And once again, Eric Carlson with 2 points on the night. And of course, the unassisted empty netter by Chris Letang to bring this game to an end as 4-1. This was a fun game to watch. Enjoyed watching this one with you. But what's your big takeaway here? What led to where we are right now?
I'm gonna have to say the play of Tristan Jarry. He had a couple of key saves on Joshua Waugh, on Cole Caulfield, and he's been able to keep that puck out of the net, and he made key saves when the Pittsburgh Penguins needed it the most, and stick tap to him for keeping that puck out of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, make sure that you're following Rick Stevens, Rocket Sports, at Rocket Sports on Twitter for all of your in-game action, keeping you up to date as the final Pittsburgh Penguins beat the Habs 4-1 tonight. And like you said, Tristan Jarry, I think, absolutely deserves to be that first star. And it looks like he will be the first star of the game, as a matter of fact. He was instrumental, the best penalty killer, and I think if you were to go back for me, I think the game was pretty much over as soon as Tristan Jarry made that post-to-post slide blocker save on Cole Caulfield. To me, that is the highlight of the game, and that is the number one takeaway. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. It's when you make a big save like he did on Cole Caulfield, and it kind of just shows that this goalie's in the zone, and it's going to take a good shot to beat this goaltender tonight.
So we got a comment coming in saying Primo still did a better job than the rest of the team. So of course they don't seem to be happy with how the team performed tonight. I don't think that's particularly wrong. I think that Montreal certainly had a good time in the offensive zone, like Rick Stevens pointed out earlier. At one point, high danger scoring chances, 5-on-5 for 15-6 for the Canadiens, and Caden Primo not facing a ton of shots, to be completely honest. So I think Montreal did a good job offensively, but of course some defensive breakdowns maybe didn't look great there. Of course, that first goal came off of a Mike Matheson giveaway. So
yeah.
So do you have, outside of that Tristan Jarry blocker save, do you have a particular play of the game that really brought us to this 4-1 final for the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Well, I think what took the wind out of Montreal Canadiens' sails was that second goal in the second period, where 21 seconds after they scored that power play goal, you could really tell that Montreal really didn't, they were frustrated with that goal being went in, and it took them by surprise to be down by 2 goals in that second period. So I think, with that goal going in, it really kind of took the wind out of the Habs sails.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there kind of a worst play of the game for either team that brought us to where we are?
Well, I'm going to go back to the first period, and I'm going to bring it back to, we've mentioned this play time and time again, but Mike Matheson. If he doesn't give that puck away to give Pittsburgh that scoring opportunity, well, I'm not saying Montreal would have won the game, but it would have put a different kind of outlook to that first period, which evidently could trickle effect for the rest of the game. So, that play by Mike Matheson, yeah, he did get one, but hey, that giveaway kind of stung a little bit for the Montreal Canadiens. How about you, Michael?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the other thing, if it comes to the absolute worst play, I think it's the Josh Anderson penalty on Tristan Jarry. I feel like if up until that point, it looked like the Habs were doing all right, getting some zone time. I feel like after that, the Habs really got quiet and had trouble sustaining the zone. So taking that penalty, I think to an extent, kind of deflated them. And Josh Anderson, he's been kind of a ghost the last few games. I don't know where he's been, and to be completely honest, I think that kind of costed the team the rest of the game there. I think that any chance that Montreal had to get back was kind of deflated by that.
Yeah, now that you bring up that play, and if you think back to where they were in that third period and how they were playing, yeah, you know what, I agree with you on that one. That definitely took the wind out of their sails.
For sure. Just want to pull up a comment there from She26 saying, Amy, love you guys. Love your honesty. And we appreciate that. We appreciate you tuning in with us. And of course, like Amy says, well, we appreciate that. It's important to get objective reporting. I'm so happy to hear that you found that with our channel, and we appreciate that you're on here too. And a little reminder before we continue along here with our post-game show, the last round. We do have a stream coming up on March the 7th. I've said a few times that's the last game before the trade deadline. Montreal versus Carolina. So in order to make that happen, of course, circle your calendar. But also, if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our great content. And you've seen her in the chat a few times, but big shout out to Amy Johnson. She hosts a couple incredible shows on this channel. First and foremost, the Habs Hockey Report, and second off, the Rocket Hockey Report. So you can find both of these on this channel, along with the podcast that I host alongside Rick Stevens, the Canadiens Connection podcast. So if you like Montreal Canadiens content, this is your one-stop shop. Make sure you hit subscribe and tap that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our great content along the way here. And with that, looks like the Ottawa Senators did win their game tonight against the Dallas Stars 4-1, and they won't be too far behind the Montreal Canadiens in the standings, as in fact 1 point back and 3 games in hand. So it looks like the Ottawa Senators are on track to overtake the Montreal Canadiens after this loss tonight. What do you think about that? Montreal, it seems like a bit of a downward spiral the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure when Montreal played Ottawa a couple weeks back, they were 12 or 10 points behind Montreal, and now they're 1 point behind Montreal. So there's definitely some downward spiral from the Montreal Canadiens for sure.
Yeah. Just catching up on some of the comments here. Canadiens Connection chimes in. Joshua Waugh, much more involved tonight. Co-led the Canadiens with 5 shots on goal. So great point being pointed out there. I did notice Joshua Waugh buzzing a little bit around the net. I think he played a pretty good role for the Canadiens. So slowly, as he's introduced into the NHL, I see more and more from him. At first, I was a little bit worried as he looked like a deer caught in the headlights. But what are your thoughts on one Joshua Waugh?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously when he first came into the league, he didn't really know what to expect, or maybe he was in awe because he's in the NHL. You know, you see all the players that you grew up watching, and you're playing against them, and you're kind of like, okay. But like you said, I think now that you see him a lot more, he's starting to learn where the right areas are in the NHL, and I think he's coming around, and he's going to be a good prospect for the Canadiens moving forward, the rest of this season and going into next.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was mentioned Joshua Waugh co-led the Canadiens with 5 shots on goal. The other was one Cole Caulfield, who did have a pretty good opportunity. I don't think he played particularly bad, but not finding the back of the net the last little while, it seems. Do you think this is anything going on with one Cole Caulfield, or is it just it is what it is and it'll come eventually?
Well, if I'm thinking back to last night's game against the Buffalo Sabres, and I felt that Cole Caulfield gave the puck up, 2 or 3 times that, really hurt the Canadiens. And to see that from a player that you don't expect it from kind of makes you wonder, okay, so is this something that's, is he injured that is he trying to, play through, or is this is just normal? For me, my opinion on it, I think it would just be, I think there might be something bothering him or a distraction maybe, and he's just not playing a full 100%.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense too. And we'll take a little final look at the chat here before we start to wrap things up. So if you have any final comments or questions for us, let us know. We'd love to know what you thought of the game. Let us know your best and worst plays of the game. And we'll start to wrap up in just a few moments here. But like I said, with that loss, Montreal Canadiens holding on to 7th place in the wild card race by 1 point. 52 points. The Ottawa Senators just behind them with 3 games at hand with 51 points. After the win tonight, the Pittsburgh Penguins have 58 points in 54 games, so 3 less games than the Montreal Canadiens as well. And it looks like Pittsburgh only 2 points back of the New York Islanders. And it's a pretty tight race. If you look at the Eastern wildcard race there are 3 teams ahead of Pittsburgh with 60 points, and Pittsburgh just at 58 points. So they're certainly still not out of it, but they're a little bit on the outside looking in. I don't think we can call it a day for the Pittsburgh Penguins if they play like they did tonight every night.
Yeah, no, I think for the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're now that we're looking at the standings and how close everything is. Last year, the only reason why they didn't make the playoffs is because they were out by 1 point. I think a certain team had to lose, another team won, which knocked them out of contention for the playoffs. So I think it's going to be somewhat of a nail biter like it was last year for them again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Final look at the comments here, and I will pull up Canadiens Connection update. Montreal Canadiens record this season in the second game of a back-to-back is 1-10, so not looking good there. Of course, back-to-backs are pretty difficult, but 1-10, not a good look, and I think you started to see that frustration, and perhaps the legs were a little bit stiff as we progressed along through that game.
Yeah, it was a good game to watch, and like the Montreal Canadiens, back-to-backs seem to be their kryptonite this year. But I think they have 1 or 2 more back-to-backs this season. Maybe they can definitely pull out 1 or 2 from those.
For sure. And I think with that, I'll just take a moment to remind everyone where they can find all of our great content. So if you like Montreal Canadiens content, head over to thn.com/Montreal. That's the Hockey News Montreal. Also, make sure you give us a follow on all of our social medias, at Rocket Sports on Twitter, Rocket Sports Media Inc. on Facebook, at Rocket Sports Media on Instagram, and our weekly podcast, the Canadiens Connection. You can find every episode at CanadiensConnection.fm. Also available on any of your favorite streaming platforms or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure you hit subscribe. While you're at it, we'd appreciate if you hit subscribe on this channel as well, at All Habs, let me try that again. YouTube.com/All Habs is where you're at right now. So make sure you hit subscribe, tap that notification bell, and we appreciate you all being here tonight. We'll be back here for another great live stream on March the 7th. Montreal takes on the Carolina Hurricanes, and this will be another great episode. Your inside link to the Montreal Canadiens.